Hello, everybody. This is Midnight's Edge. We're here on the main channel discussing the 10th and final episode of Season 1 of Star Trek Picard. I'm, of course, your narrator, Supreme Mr. Rob Robot Shlomo. With us always as, from the astral plane is Mr. Tom Connors, it looks like.
Hi.
Joining us actually is the boss man himself, Andre.
Greetings, everyone. Finally, I've caught up. I've missed out on the last few shows, actually last 4, in fact, simply because I haven't been up to date. But now, today, I've seen 3 episodes in a row, and my head is still hurting. So, yeah, this is going to be fun.
That's nothing. You're caught up on Picard. It's something to be proud of. And with us is our very own literary physician, the script doctor.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening. How is everybody holding up after Star Trek Picard?
Oh, fantastic. Oh my God. It's a bigger mess than we thought. It really is. It really is. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. That's about the reaction we had.
Yeah, pretty much. Because like most of you had like some time to ease into it, because you've seen every single episode week by week, whereas I caught up now this week. I've actually seen 4 episodes, 3 episodes today, and oh my God, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot of suck to take in, a lot of immense frustration. Like I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin.
It's tricky.
So, yeah.
Well, now that the entire episodes have aired, an astute observer can see what it was reshot and reorganized and rewritten, compared to what we thought we were getting from the earlier rumors and leaks. Yeah, like after episode 10, it's easy to confirm that episode 7 was completely a last-minute add-in to the whole series, just to try and make the ending have something of a sense, and it failed in that regard anyways.
Speaking of last-minute add-in, we were just joined by Mr. H Reviews. Welcome.
What's up, bitch? No, right, how's it all going?
Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
So, what do you think of the final episode?
What absolute shambles! Like, could it get any worse? Oh my lord! Oh my lord! I was shouting, screaming at my TV, everything utterly atrocious. I've also been trying to get my review up all day, but it's been copyright blocked worldwide at every single turn. That was. Oh my god! Like words. Anyone got any words? Besides
I have some words.
Travesty.
Yeah. And
they literally spent about I'm going to interrupt you. They spent like 5 minutes at the end, right, building up this massive emotional beat of, oh my god, Picard's dead, oh my god, and then they just bring him back to life anyway, and you're like, well, that was a fucking waste of time, wasn't it? Oh, what was that? Can someone say filler? It was all a bunch of filler. Filler, no thriller. Anyway.
It was worse than that. I would like to say one thing, though. That those are some words that I do have. Everyone, go back and see our early videos from the making of Picard, when the whole thing was still in production, before a single frame of footage had been shot, when you had like this whole thing with Netflix falling apart and Amazon and what we said about the series and everything. Everyone that likes to say that Midnight's Edge is fake news, blah, 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 blah. We were 100% on the money on this one. 100% accurate. I think pretty much everything that we labeled as rumors, whatever, came to pass. All of it, didn't it?
For the most part, yeah. As far as I recall, I know the 4chan leak was accurate up to like the last couple episodes, so that tells me they may have done some reshoots and reconfiguration.
I'm not just talking about specific.
No, but yeah, everything else though, yeah, delays, the reshoots, all that crap, yeah.
The soundtrack, all of it.
Utterly abysmal. Romulans were right the whole time. Anyone?
Yes,
That's what I said.
Oh my
yeah.
god! Did anyone really enjoy? Did anyone really enjoy the giant fucking tentacles that just came out the sky? Because apparently that is the supreme AI. It's Doc Ock's tentacles, everyone. Dr. Octavius's tentacles.
To me, it looked like the thing from the Avengers movie, like the Chitauri or whatever on the other side of the,
definitely.
the wormhole.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but they were
That's the
snapping.
portal.
They were snapping just like Sam Raimi's Dr. Ock in
Or the Matrix.
Spider-Man. You know,
Or the Matrix Sentinels.
Yeah, honestly, so many. And oh god, what a big old pile of bollocks! And that magic tool, the Doctor Who MacGuffin, the magic tool.
The
if you just believe it, just believe that it'll do it. Just use your imagination. Well, really, we're just going to get high, are we? And just imagine it's going to work. Are we? Oh, it worked. Okay, magic. Magic.
That device will revolutionize the Federation.
So basically, that was a rip-off from Doctor Who, because I saw shitloads of rip-off from Dune here. One thing is like Picard, in the end, he was a Gola, straight out of Dune. That's one thing. And then like this huge, super advanced AI and stuff like that, that's the Omnius Evermind. And what's his face? I forgot right now. Also straight out of Dune. So Erasmus. It was basically it's Omnius and Erasmus straight out of Dune was on the other side of that portal. And just to go back to one thing that you said, Mr. Rage. Yes, I do know where I will begin. I cannot believe that towards the end of the series here, I found myself rooting for the Romulans.
But they were right anyway.
They were right.
They were proved right anyway the entire time. Not only that, everyone seems to... Oh my god. This necklace MacGuffin bollocks that we had to endure for about 3 episodes.
That went nowhere?
Went nowhere! Yep. And everyone's like, oh, this thing is the best thing since sliced bread. You know, jerking off to it. Nothing.
There was a whole lot of shit in this series that went nowhere.
Fuckery.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Fuckery.
I mean, Sutra's saying like Romulans going insane because they don't understand the message, and then she shows us what the message is, and it's like, no, the Romulans pretty much understood what the damn message was. Like, what the hell?
They got it bang on.
I mean, the Romulans were the heroes in this. They were right all along. Like, I was like so frustrated because I was like thinking, I cannot believe this. I'm a huge fan of Captain Picard from Star Trek The Next Generation, and here I am rooting against him at the very end. I'm like sitting there like, oh, Romulans, please, come on, don't get distracted, just sterilize the entire planet and be done with it. And if you have to take Picard with you, it's all for the greater good. And when Riker came, I wasn't like, oh yes, fantastic, we get to see him. I was like, no, not Riker, not you too.
Well, he doesn't even. He shouldn't even know
this.
He shouldn't even know half that stuff. There was a lot of people pointing that out.
First thing you should have said was, "Oh, excuse me, you look like the head of Starfleet Security. What the fuck are you doing here, love?" First thing, not.
Why are you standing alone on a bridge to your ship? Where's the people flying that?
Not only that. She's the head of Starfleet Security for the Commodore Ohm or whatever her fucking name is, right?
Oh yeah.
When Picard jollies up in that little piss shit tiny thing, and they go, "What do you want us to do?" She goes, "Don't worry about it. Just leave it." Sorry, love. You're the head of Starfleet Security. Why would you just say, "Oh, to hell with that. Who cares?" You know it's armored. You know it's got weapons. Yeah, the head of Starfleet Security is just like, nah, don't worry about it.
This reminds me of Die Hard with a Vengeance, where they're like, what, are you just going to leave it there? Some kid could mess around with it.
And what also really annoyed me with
drop that bomb off at the...
is that not only did this woman, this infiltrator, then manage to rise to the head of Starfleet Security.
Well, not only that.
That should be a fairly full-time job right there.
Yeah,
how the hell did she have time to become a general for the Romulans at the same freaking time?
Well, it's because she was infiltrating.
She was general first, and
that's the thing.
So she was general when she was 18.
No, she's a Vulcan that's been in part of Starfleet for at least 40 years. Vulcan's lived about 200 years. So
sleeper agent or whatever.
Sadly, we have to assume as the audience that she's a lot older than what we are visually led to believe.
Well, not only that,
she's a Vulcan Romulan cross. That's what
What
she
pissed
is.
me off is that Riker lets her go. Okay.
Yes.
She's done all kinds of shit that they're like, yeah, this is great that we've come to some kind of conclusion here, but guess what? You were under arrest for the murder of Federation, whatever he was,
Everybody that was on Mars.
Q and whatever, everybody basically.
Leaking state secrets. I mean, what the hell?
Espionage.
Yeah.
And,
That's the
Actually, she
MO in all of. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about their script doctor, but that's the MO in so much stuff now. You just let the bad guy just walk away scot-free. Remember it happened at the end of season 1 of STD? They just let a genocidal maniac, the Mirror Universe Georgia, just walk away.
well, I mean, even though technically, yes, the Romulans were
We
right.
gave her a job with Section 31.
Right? Well, even though technically, though, the Romulans were right, the only reason they were right was because the Romulans were pushing this shit. It still boiled down to the whole fact that the Romulans were coming to kill them, that they decided, you know what? Human life and all forms of bionic life or whatever is not worth living. We're going to destroy it all. And they were on board with that. And
Yeah.
so that's the only reason that all happened in the first place. So they still should have arrested O.
Well, yeah, she violated the Treaty of Algernon because she crossed in from the neutral zone into Federation space, infiltrated the whole thing. That's the only part that made sense. Like, he actually brought up, you have to turn back because of the Treaty of Algernon. I'm like, well, no, that treaty shouldn't exist anymore anyways. And regardless, it doesn't have anything to do with a planet already in Federation space. It's about redefining the border of the neutral zone and making sure Federation doesn't make any cloaked ships and things like that. So they threw it in there for references and member berries. But if they really wanted to use it, they could say, you infiltrated Starfleet for 40 years. You've led to a massive amount of subterfuge and
Exactly.
the death of countless people. We are arresting you for that. It's a good thing there's no one else on your ship to help defend you, because we're going to beam over there, grab you, and take you back to Earth for trial or something. But no, they didn't do that. They just let them go. And oddly enough, and it's really kind of a bad against to their own to the show's own agenda of having all these female characters in power. The moment Captain Riker shows up, he fixes it all in 5 minutes without having to fire a single shot. So, like, where's the competency on the female side of things?
Without knowing what the hell is going on.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that annoyed me so much as well. This super quick shifting of alliances with no further information, just because the plot kind of needed it. Like, for instance, the plot now needs the ragtag crew back on the spaceship to suddenly be aware of what's going on. And so they have, like, the Irish Romulan show up, and he explains, this, and then they just believe him. Like, oh, okay, so Picard was wrong all the time then. Okay, so that's how it is right now. Well, that was awfully convenient then. Real convenient that you would just believe that so quickly.
Right, that's what I
And the
mean,
same
Ralph
with,
Barrett. That O was responsible for the attack on Mars. She instigated the whole thing, yeah.
For good reason. For very good reason.
Yeah,
They
terrible
were right.
method, but very correct reason.
They were only right, though, because they were, to a point. It's still convoluted, because the question is like, okay, if the Romulans weren't on their way to attack them, would they have really contacted the entity, or would have been like, oh, okay, well, whatever, But no,
yeah,
it was
if the
just
Romulans didn't get involved, would they still contact?
Right,
the
that's
entity
my
after
question,
discovering it? Yeah.
so I'm just like, I don't know. Anna, how you doing?
Oh, hello. Sorry I'm a little late.
So, did you have
Yeah.
time to catch up with the final episode?
Yes, I did. And ugh.
Yeah. It's pretty sad when after that 10th episode is released, you kind of realize, oh yeah, episode 7 was there deliberately for a reason, because they had so many plot holes to try and wrap this thing up, and they still didn't even manage to do a good job spackling. Because, like, how did Riker know? Like, they have there's a Facebook reveal from the actress who played the Admiral Hubris, and apparently she was on the bridge commanding the Armada originally, and then that was reshot to have Jonathan Frakes do it. And they did that because it's like, oh, how does this character know what planet to go to and all that other stuff? So you have to do that earlier. So you write an episode with Riker and Troy where their kid gives them the information to where that planet is that they have to go and have the climax at, so that you can feasibly make the leap that Riker knows where to go when he gets to the Armada at Deep Space 12. And it's just so it's so many points to follow that it becomes a mess of terrible convenience.
Yeah, that's what annoyed me the most, the convenience of it all. And that's like a hallmark of really bad writing. So I'm curious, Script Doctor, what did you think of the writing of this whole series so far now, and we have 10 episodes to look back on?
Well, when you see this overall show for the beats that it is, it could have been done in a pretty solid 2-part episode of original Star Trek with the original character, with the actual original characters we saw, and probably have a little bit of meaning. I don't think they intended it, but there is an ironic aspect to the 10th episode, and that is basically this small minority of synths feels that the only way they can be better or survive is to destroy everything that created them. And it's kind of an accidental allegory to these films like Terminator Dark Fate and Charlie's Angels and Star Wars, where these new characters their exact existence is just to destroy the old characters so that they could be left standing and considered better. And Picard in episode 10 is arguing, no, that's not what you do. There's other ways you can build up things in different ways. And part of me wants to pray that it's a writing assistant or a staff writer who managed to sneak in that little point in the script and it just managed to get films. But part of me thinks, no, it's an accident, just an absolute accident that they managed to hit a very true allegory about what it is to write, which is you don't tear down what came before, and whatever's left standing is considered better. You're supposed to build off that foundation and expand the world and the characters, running with the same themes, or at least bringing new light to those themes to give them more of a thoughtful nature for your audience.
I'm inclined to believe that has to be a sheer accident.
Yeah. And the other part too, and I don't know how many of you guys know this, but and for anyone in the chat that's curious, so 3 of the 10 episodes have a teleplay by credit instead of a written by credit, and there's a reason for that. A written by credit means that the writer came up with the story idea and executed the script by themselves or in a writing team. A teleplay credit means that they were assigned to rewrite or write a script based on a story by idea of a different set of writers. So for episodes 1, it's a teleplay by Akiva Goldsman and James Duff, and the story is by Akiva Goldsman, Michael Chabon, Kirsten Bayer, Alex Kurtzman, and James Duff. So a lot of people came up with the story, and Akiva and James had to write that horrible pilot for the first episode. And then episode 9 and 10 is also teleplay by Michael Chabon and then Ayelet Waldman. And then the story is by, Chabon, Waldman, and then Akiva Goldsmith, which really tells me that Akiva came up with the story for episode 9, and then Chabon and Waldman kind of rewrote it, and they gave themselves story by credit because Chabon's the showrunner. And then the last episode is teleplay by Chabon and then story by him and Akiva Goldsman. So you're kind of seeing like who's got more of the actual story by ideas for these episodes, and who's been given the bad job of trying to make it all work, and that seems to be Chabon in this case.
Yeah, because he seems to have been in the unenviable position of trying to string together loads of schizophrenic impulses into a coherent story. And I guess that he tried as good as anyone could, but really there was no salvage here. And
it's very strange.
I keep wondering.
Well, it's really strange because
how the hell can adult writers put out something this freaking nonsensical and bad?
It doesn't make sense. He's the showrunner, so he shouldn't have to be subservient to Akiva Goldsman, who's coming up with a story. If the story's bad, as the showrunner, he should be able to say, okay, that's not the story we're going to do. I'm going to do something that's far more cohesive with what we've been going on so far. But that's not the case. Like that, clearly the result is definitely not the case at all.
Well, what pisses me off is this could all have been done in a 1-part, maybe 2-part episode. This whole entire storyline.
Yeah, it's needlessly padded out.
storyline as a whole, you know what annoyed me with it? It wasn't until episode 8 where I was like, okay, so that's the story. Like the episodes 1 to 7 could have been one episode.
You've been
And
lucking
then,
out
like,
on this,
in
mate.
episode-
I've had to watch this week on, week out. You ain't been here. I needed you as my saving grace. Where you been?
I've been busy, but I'll be back on
Unreal.
Monday.
Unbelievable.
I've been busy, but I'll be back on Monday. But that aside, this whole thing, speaking of saving grace, where were their saving grace? What the hell? I'm in shock of how bad this was. First
Well,
7
nothing's-
episodes were a complete waste, and
it's
the
always
story
this,
began in episode 8.
It's always this 2 steps forward, 1 step. One step forward, 2 steps back situation, which I've been saying a few times. It doesn't go anywhere, and they consistently squander any, like 7 of 9 being a ball queen. Great concept. Explore it. No, don't worry about it. Like
They're more worried about making her a lesbian.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
they did. They did at the end. Did anyone see that? Lesbian
Yeah.
with Auntie
afterthought.
Raffy, the pot smoking fucking Auntie Raff scumbag. She's now she's brilliant, epic, fantastic. Of course.
Yeah.
Why
Seven has
wouldn't they?
bad
Why
taste in
wouldn't
women.
they make her a lesbian? Why wouldn't they? Of course. I mean, logic. Why not? Fucking unreal. Absolutely. Like, honestly, name some nonsensical pile of crap. They're going to do it. Of course they would.
Kill
Of
off
course.
Picard, have a big long crying
Yeah.
scene
For no reason. For
for
literally
everybody
no
for no reason whatsoever.
Literally no
Don't
reason. 'cause
save
it doesn't
data
go
when
anywhere.
they could. Like they
Yeah.
have data existing and they don't do anything with them.
But,
Well, that was the
they
original
can-
leaks.
But they
Go
can
ahead, sorry.
they can have him in future anyway. It doesn't matter because all they did was switch off the simulation. His
They pulled out
brain
his
is still
USBs.
there. They can just plug him back in. There is no repercussions. The entire 10-episode saga of this big old pile of bullshit is completely redundant. If anything, the only thing anyone should know about this is, oh well, the Romulans are actually right.
Yeah, that's my takeaway. The
That-
Romulans were
yeah.
right all along, and they were entirely
Nick-
justified in everything.
Necklaces went
And that's
nowhere.
the most Star Trek thing about this plot is that the people we think are the enemies are actually the ones trying to be the heroes, and it's just a misunderstanding because of our own prejudice, bias, and fear. But they do it in such a very haphazard and superficial way that it absolutely has no room for debate or revelation or like satisfactory conclusion for the actions that they have. It's like there's no speech by Picard saying, yes, Romulans, you are right, but the actions you took are completely counterproductive to what your goal was. Why kill yourself and why kill each other in order to save the whole species? That's illogical, it's immoral, it's unethical. There should be a Picard speech that just puts them in their place for their actions.
Yeah, but then they have to be in the wrong with their actions, do something wrong, and they didn't.
They kind of were. That's what I
The
was
only-
saying. Is they set the whole thing off in motion, really? Because if they would have never messed with the androids on the other side of the universe, would they have even called on the ultimate being? That's the question
if they
I
never
have to
had
ask
the
myself.
ban, if they never had the ban,
That's
the,
what I
the
mean,
whole
yeah.
world would never be in fear. It would probably never even exist.
Well, and that's where I was saying is like it was a whole chain of events, and it doesn't matter what the chain of events who started it. It in the end, had broken so many freaking laws that there was no reason should have been allowed to just waltz away. You know,
Well, no, Jurati. She's a fucking murderer, and she's loving it
Oh,
up
she-
on.
and her
she's loving it
too,
up on the
her
ship.
too,
Yeah, her too.
her too. Yeah,
Yeah,
nobody's paying for the death of Maddox either.
Jordan Peterson, her Mr. Maddox. Yeah. Honestly, I'm sorry if anyone likes this show after all of this. Like, I'm concerned. How'd you get out of bed? How'd you wipe your ass? Because this fucking show is terrible. It's narrative shite. Right? There is nothing redeeming about it. There really isn't. Right? You can like all the lens flares and you can like all the pretty sets and maybe how one or two of the actors or actresses look. That's fine. But on a narrative level, it's fucking trash.
Well, yeah, and the Picard we get at the very end isn't the real Picard. Data said they scanned and copied his brain. It's not a transfer, it's a copy, which means it's not him. Real Picard is dead, and what we have is a synthetic copy
And
in
he's
a
gonna die in 4 years
94-year-old
anyway.
body.
You die in 4
And it
years
just-
anyway. What's the
I
point?
was like thinking that
Fucking
if that
hell.
had been me, I would have been so fucking pissed off. I was like,
Oh my
wait. So you brought me back to life and you gave me the same 94-year-old piece of shit body? Like, why did you make me 30 again?
Yeah. What's the point?
That's why I feel like something was changed, because in the original script, Data's memory was downloaded to, I believe it was Soji, wasn't it? But regardless, like, otherwise most of the beats were the same. So like, I have a feeling like something was changed along the line, because yeah, it makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever to do it the way they did it. There was no story beat, nothing story-wise gained from transferring Picard over to this Golem without giving him a younger body or making him immortal in some way. Again, it posed.
He's not even
Yeah.
upgraded, so he's not even gonna be able to run up
Right.
the stairs. And next time he goes run up the stairs, he's probably gonna have a fucking heart attack.
No,
Oh,
the
what's
only
the
upgrade he got
point?
was no brain abnormality.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, and what was the point of that? Like, you didn't even need that brain abnormality. It served zero purpose in
They
the
could have just
story
made.
other
They
than
could have
being
just made him a
removed.
hologram. They could have just made him a fucking hologram. Who cares? What happened with the Locutus? That went nowhere. Oh my god!
And those poor
Oh.
Borg are still stuck on that planet trying to fix their cube.
Yeah, they're like, just
The
fuck them.
entire
God, this
You leave them on an
fucking shit.
android planet, no less.
if
It's
you remove the
terrible.
Borg, if you remove the Borg from this series, what difference would it make? None.
None. The
None.
Borg was
Absolutely
pointless.
none.
And it's amazing. I thought it was amazing how 7 of 9 kept mouthing off how she's got no purpose and all this. She's the leader of the fucking Fenris Rangers. What do you mean you got no purpose, Bellend?
Oh,
They
she's
were
just
the
being
fucking-
meta with regards to her actions on the show.
But you see what I mean? Like, you know,
Yep.
it's trash. It's trash.
What's really sad is that my joke about this show being about a 94-year-old man going after a 20-year-old woman is far more true now than it ever has been before, because he's literally been rejuvenated by her actions. He's got a new body and a new lease on life now that he's with this girl that he's found. And
So
he's,
it's a guy going through the end of a life crisis, finding
A
his
midlife
salvation in a
crisis.
20-some-year-old girl.
Well,
Exactly.
Well, I mean, barely a new lease of life. He's going to die the same time.
I know,
he did
right? They
before.
gave him
well, he's
20
got like
extra
maybe
years,
10 to 30
roughly.
years left.
Well,
but, you
let's
know.
see. In this day and age, they live a little longer. So I was under the assumption they gave him 20 to 40 years to live. Because
Oh,
they said
God.
they gave him like
I'd
10
be
extra
fucking-
years.
Well, no, because
Just
he
kill
even
him in the
said,
first
He
I would have
hoped.
10 or
He
20
hoped.
Oh, that's right.
for
He said
10
I hope
extra
for
years.
10 extra years. Yeah.
Like, he can have an ictus and drop dead tomorrow. Because you see, there they have an out in case Patrick Stewart suddenly, God forbid, he's
Which-
not a young man himself. Then they
Which-
have like an
yeah.
out right there.
Which makes no sense in why they should have even done that with the Golem. They should have either just found a way to repress his problem or cure him. That's what makes no sense.
Use that dissect machina thing. Imagine the brain abnormality not
Yeah,
there. and
I
it'll
thought
make-
that's what they were going to use it for, to be honest with you, script doctor. When they introduced that
know.
thing, I was like, what the hell is that?
Just have those weird like tentacle
Just
things going through
imagine it.
Picard's ear and nose, and then they come out later. And he's like, "Okay, you're cured."
Now make it super horrific. Like have it go right up his nose, in his ears, have a bit of brain matter fall out. Really, really get into it. Like that, I'd love that. That'd be epic. Much better than the shit we've had to witness. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Mr. H likes his horror, let's just say.
Bloody bubbles and
Yeah,
snot.
yeah.
Ugh.
Well, it'd be better than what we've bloody seen, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
That it would, no argue
Fucking
there.
hell. Blow a brain bubble down your nose. Pop a bit of your brain.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, blood bubbles and snot. Yeah, that's all we need. Yeah.
Oh, it's just honestly, it's so bad. It's terrible. It went utterly nowhere, and like Borg, no reason for them even being in there. They killed a whole bunch of people, which achieved nothing. Like, why have this massive overarching narrative about AI when you have the Borg in this universe anyway as an established massive ultimate threat, which has been done many times? Why have synthetics being banned when you still have Borg anyway, when you still have holograms? Like, where's the line? What is what?
Well, not only that, there's this looming threat on the galaxy, on the universe now, from these these synthetic alien creatures that
They'll
live
deal
outside
with
of
that
time
in
and
Yeah,
Discovery.
space.
the omnious evermind. That's like the threat to the entire
Yeah.
universe. And
Like,
you know what? I think something is much worse than that they put a ban on synthetics to begin with. What I thought was much, much worse was that they lifted the ban after the synthetics just showed that, oh yeah, these guys, they are a real fucking imminent threat. The Romulans were right. So now you're going to lift the ban. Now, after we've learned how dangerous they freaking are, now you're going to lift it.
Oh, the end of
that's
this was just
Yeah.
horrendous. Yes.
Yeah.
And when are these synthetic aliens are eventually going to, come after that galaxy because they received the call? It's like they know they exist. They're not just going to be like, okay, they're fine now. I guess they called a little too early. No, they're going to seek out and destroy it because their entire goal, according to that admonition, is to make sure the synthetics evolve and the organics become extinct.
That's
Now they
what
know of us.
destroyed. That's what's going to end up having destroyed Federation in STD season 3, and then it's going to end up being Control that has,
Merged with them or something like
or
that.
it'll
And
have
organic life
evolved. Yeah.
Organic life is like refugees throughout the entire galaxy. They're all hiding all the time everywhere from synthetics.
Just so they can tie it in with that. Yeah.
So if anyone's watching this, right, and you've not seen Star Trek Picard, don't. You'd have a much better time masturbating with razor blades, whether that's being a female or a male. Quite frankly, it is
God.
fucking trash. Well, would you agree? Would you have a better time?
No. I mean, I'd rather just have a show playing in the background than do
Terrible.
that. Oh my
Terrible.
god.
You're killing some brain cells then. Unreal.
One leaves more
I already
physical
did
lasting
it.
scars. The others are mental scars we could forget or drink our brain cells away to forget.
Well, look, anyway, still.
I have
point
to say,
remains,
though, I've
it's
seen
trash.
3 episodes today after being
buddy.
free of it.
Oh
And
my god.
yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm traumatized, but it did something to me, and not in a good way.
Well, you don't sound yourself. So.
Well, episode 8 was nothing but a bottle episode of pure exposition to tell you this is what you should know by now, but sorry, we screwed up for the past 7 episodes, so we have to tell it to you this way.
Yeah, Master Clockwork just sent a $2 super chat. So they stole the plot from the Orville. No, what I keep on hearing is that they've stolen the plot from Star Trek Renegades, which I've never seen, so I cannot say. But I keep on hearing from people that have that this is Renegades with slightly different names and everything like that. But the same.
Well, the
ragtag
crew is
or
very
something.
renegade-y. I don't remember
Yeah,
the plot
and
of
they had a
Renegades, other
similar
than like
plot
the
like
daughter of
this in
Khan
Orville.
Noonien Soon.
Yeah, and they had a similar plot like this in Orville.
And of course, loads of Dune in there with the whole omnious evermind and the Gola.
Yeah.
It's not Golem, let's call it Gola, which is what it is. Straight out of Dune. Oh, and Mass Effect. Many people keep on saying that they
Yeah.
ripped off Mass
Oh, yeah,
Effect.
they even
The
had a
game,
sound
so I cannot
effect that
say,
was-
but-
They had a Reaper sound effect.
Okay, and here's the other thing. Yeah, okay, fucking Soong, he turns on a dime. A second ago, he was
Yeah.
willing to kill everybody in the galaxy.
But the moment he realizes that he was double crossed, no, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna help save the human race.
He doesn't
What?
share that information with the rest of the synth community. He just quietly deactivates Sutra and says, okay, go blow up the thing. It's like, no, you should just say, hey, look, Sutra killed her. We should stop building this right now. And then you
Yeah.
just don't have to blow up anything.
Unbelievable.
And then on top of that, 218 Romulan warbirds. They decide to spend all their firepower to take out those lilies that they call orchids. They don't have one ship just to go off to the side and just bombard the town from space because, it only takes one ship to do that.
But also, these people are they're refugees. Where are you getting 200 warbirds from, mate?
Yep.
Where you getting 200 warbirds from?
Yeah, that was the whole big question to begin with. Why did they start do the whole thing with Mars, start this whole thing to begin with, go through this whole convoluted mess, and waste the time and the effort when they should have been just worried about getting themselves back together in an order?
They're
Yeah,
fine.
I mean,
They got
why
warbirds.
is the Romulans in charge of the Borg cube anyway? They don't even have a central planet where their people are at. They
Well, we
don't
were
have a
talking about that
government.
for like a half hour at the beginning. Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Tom. We debated that actually for 20 minutes, half hour.
Half hour
Um,
almost.
Gotcha.
Just from what we know, just from what little I know of maritime salvage laws, having talked to scuba divers and place I used to work. We used to service a lot of people. We used to service a dive shop, and he was really up on the stuff. Whomever can, if it's in international waters, this is like open space. Let's just say whomever can mount the salvage operation has the legal claim to it. And if it's in Romulan space, they would first have the legal claim.
But we also pointed out that, if you have, like, say, a cruise ship where a bunch of people died and they were all from different parts of the world, it would still be a responsibility of whoever salvaged it to make sure said bodies get where they need to go.
Yeah.
And then we also pointed out that not only do you have bodies, but you have living bodies that are being rehabilitated. And then we got into the whole part of why would you rehabilitate a bunch of Borg on a ship anyway, especially when they set up the idea that Borg want to plug themselves in at any given chance they can because they like to be a part of the collective. So why would you rehabilitate all these Borg right where they could plug themselves in? It's like rehabilitating a bunch of drug addicts over top of a Oxycontin factory or something and not expecting something to go wrong.
And then on top of that, have them also rejected by the rest of society because they used to be a Borg.
So they're like basically like, fuck this noise.
Just become part of the collective and kill everyone again. Fuck it.
Yeah, and technically, if a ship sinks, let's just say, like I said, just if a ship sinks and people die and people are lost at sea, it's designated a gravesite. So I mean, and
there's that aspect too. Yeah,
you can salvage it, but it's technically designated a gravesite.
If it sinks, they don't.
If you're not supposed to touch it. So
but I mean, how would the Romulans even have the resources to rehabilitate Borg and to take over a Borg cube?
The dissolution. The dissolution of the Romulan Empire. That was a big thing when they first started. Oh, the Romulan Empire, the dissolution of the Romulan Empire, and they've got a whole freaking fleet of ships, 219 ships at their disposal. What are these Romulans doing hanging out on this planet just drinking all day drinking all day? I mean, come on.
That goes back to my first issue with the series. Like, the Federation doesn't owe the Romulan Empire anything. There's no need to go and rescue them. They are perfectly fit to take care of them themselves. And the ones that were just drinking on that planet, that never happened. That was pure lazy writing by sorry for the offense, but a senile old man that wanted some pro-immigration thing like that and used the most ham-fisted, nonsensical parallel that just takes any kind of message away from it, which is also rings true for like this whole thing here with the synths. So basically, you can use like the same thing there. There you basically now have a clear and present danger, and the Romulans, they have the right tactic. They understand the threat, and they want to end it before it becomes a threat. What does Picard want? The senile old man? No, he just wants to, okay, we're just going to do everything to make sure that the threat comes to the very, very brink of destroying us all. And then we're going to be optimistic and trust that it doesn't. It's unreal. Just like, we're going to trust the goodness of people's hearts. Because that's worked so well throughout history with those who tried that kind of optimism. Never worked out. So, yeah, it's just so frustrating. And you can totally tell that the morals and the philosophy and the message it's senile. It's meant they're trying to be.
It's infantile
like
too.
Holier than thou, and it's just failing. Yeah, when you're senile, you go back to become infantile again.
Exactly. Like, they know the words, but they don't understand the meaning. They don't understand how far you can take it. They don't understand the core of why those words exist. It's frustrating as a writer to see such a mishandling of a message because the parties in charge do not understand what that message is. They just know it and tout it.
Yep. Have you guys been reading or seen any of those questions that Michael Chabon answers after every show?
Yes.
I mean, the Michael Chabon apology tour, or excuse tour, I should say.
No, he's not even being apologetic. He's being
I would say it's more exclusive. Yeah, more excuses than anything. Yeah.
He's being an asshole. Every question that he's answered of mine, it's just a passive-aggressive slight. So going
Well,
through
I-
it and then seeing what people ask him about stuff. It's like, you don't know anything about Star Trek, dude. Not even the one you're writing.
Apparently, that's a requirement for working as a writer on this iteration of Star Trek, to not know the first thing about Star Trek.
Yeah, so you can be fresh and new to it. It's like, no, that's not always how it works. A disciplined writer knows how to drop the anchor or raise the anchor from fandom to try and experiment without actually tipping over the boat.
That's definitely not how it should work.
That's what Robert Martin Burnett keeps saying about, never tell them you're a Star Trek fan.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Ann Magnuson. She's Admiral Hubris. That's gonna be her name, Admiral Hubris.
That's what I call her.
God.
Admiral O, you mean, or the white-haired woman?
No,
The white-haired woman.
Oh yeah, the waste of space.
You, for God's sake. She's just there. You're bad Picard. Bad Picard. You're a bad Picard.
Well, here's proof that we had reshoots.
Yeah. Sit your little white male self down and be a good boy.
Check your privilege and be quiet.
But yeah, they replaced her with Riker the last minute, and I'm pretty sure they did it while Frakes was up here probably shooting some Star Trek Discovery season 3 episodes, because he's sitting in a Discovery chair, and they didn't build that in California. They built that at Pinewood, Toronto.
Yeah, probably.
And
you know how it is that as much as I like Riker, as much as I like seeing him there, I honestly would rather they didn't, because then I have to root against him, which is what I did. I was like, no,
Yep.
Riker, not you too. Please, no, I don't want to see the Romulans destroy you, but they have to. For the sake of all living life in the galaxy, they just have to end all of this and everyone opposing it, and that means both Picard and Riker.
It would be
I
a
was
nothing fight. All the Romulans have to do is just like kamikaze one ship into that transmitter or something, and blow it up, and the problem is solved. It doesn't matter how type of skirmish they have. A ship can get through. There's no way for them to stop that.
Yeah, I know. Like just drop a nuke one way or the other.
Yeah,
That's all
photon
it takes.
torpedo, kamikaze a ship, phasers. Doesn't matter.
It's literally it's one facility with like 20 people on it.
Yeah.
So
And it's
yeah,
unprotected from space. Like those orchids are gone. So
exactly. And most of those people, those 20 people, were completely useless anyway. You had like 2 characters among them, and the rest of them were just like extras.
yeah, they
basically.
played chess and soccer and raked fire and like glowing fire. Like what were these synths doing on this planet anyways? Like they weren't really building more. Just Alton was building his own, like I guess, coffin body that he was going to transfer over for immortality, I guess. And then they decided just to give that to Patrick Stewart for
that was-
season 2. That's probably not going to happen because I don't think Amazon's going to pay for it again.
Yeah, no, probably not. And that was very nice of them. Nice of Soong when he's built like this thing for himself to just donate it to Picard like that. Give it to a 94-year-old man and make him a 94-year-old man still, so he can drop dead next week. That's like, yeah, it just defies belief.
Yeah, and it's not like they can't build another golem for Soong to go into later. I mean, there's no urgency anymore now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like they couldn't. I was thinking the same thing. It's like, what is it going to take them that long to build another one? That now that they know how to do it right,
Yeah.
That's terrible. It's such a bad show. Like it's just.
And it's
Oh
such
my
a shame.
God.
It breaks my heart because this is something that I really, really wanted to like. And
I love the
even
next
within
generation.
Even within the alternate license, you can still make great Star Trek. If there's a will, there's a way. Problem is there haven't been a will, and there certainly haven't been the skill, and then we've gotten really bad Star Trek. And under the helm of these people who are doing it right now, it wouldn't matter if we were dealing with the original license. It would still have sucked because it's the wrong people in charge. And
Yep.
Star Trek is done for until you basically wipe out everyone and everything there. And you said something interesting about the season 2, since Amazon wants out. If they get out, that depends on the deals that they have. But of course, Viacom CBS, they have their own problems right now, because their share price have fallen really, really badly. Much worse.
Yeah, they had to
than the rest of
restructure
the
their
market.
loan. They had to well, actually, the company that owns them, Parks Amusements and what is it called?
Yeah.
National
National
Amusements.
Parks and
Amusements.
National Amusements, yeah.
Had to restructure its loan with the Bank of America, and they're not allowed to. What is it? They're not allowed to trade right now, or what's the situation? I didn't get to read the whole thing.
I haven't been able to research in detail, so I have to do more research on it before I can get back to it. But basically, what it boils down to is that one of the conditions for the merger is that the new company, Viacom CBS, is supposed to be more financially sound than either Viacom or CBS were before. And that means that the share price cannot dip below a certain level. And it's been like balancing on that level. And of course, you have had this whole situation of the Wuhan flu, or whatever you want to call the thing.
Corona China.
Which has basically brought down everything. However, with various stimulus packages and stuff, other things.
This was happening before
recovered.
this, though.
Yeah, this was happening before, and other things have recovered with stimulus. This hasn't. This required intervention from National Amusements, kind of intervention that they cannot do again. So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to continue to play out.
Well, for those who,
And
at least in my
future seasons.
Well, my understanding of the situation, unless you need to correct me here, Andre, is that the whole point of the merger, like you said, was to build up the stock, and at that time, Paramount needed help from CBS, and now the situation looks like CBS is going so bad that they're devaluing Paramount stock, so that may null and void the merger. Is that what's going on, possibly?
I don't want to get into that before I've researched it myself, exactly what they're doing, which corporate actions or which measures they're taking, and I'm happy to do an editorial on that, but I have to research it more thoroughly, because I've only seen like some comments here and there. I don't know the details of it yet.
All right, well, that was my understanding,
but
it could be wrong, so just take that into consideration.
No, that probably is the gist of it. Probably is correct. What it means, I'm not gonna say right now that the entire company is broke. That's a little bit too early to say, because to go into liquidity means that they can't be able to pay their bills. And then of course you have like some conditions for the merger, which are currently might not technically be met, but we'll see how that all plays out. I kind of like doubt that the Department of Justice have it as their immediate priority to take apart Viacom CBS right now in this moment. But we'll see how it all plays out. What it definitely doesn't mean is anything good for the future of Star Wars, because now they need to earn money, and that is something that this iteration of Star Wars is not doing.
Star Trek, yeah.
Star Trek, sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, all the genre entertainment's falling, so it's kind of true. And all
it's almost all the same anymore.
They're basically, yeah, it is all the same. Yeah, you have the same company screwing up both. It's Bad Robot, both of them. Bad Robot ended Star Trek, and they ended Star Wars afterwards. And now they're moving on to DC on film. Batman. So, yay!
Yeah,
yay! They are the tentacle monster. Bad Robot is the tentacle monster.
They're a Kraken, yeah.
They're the tentacle.
You know what? That's actually the irony, because they're talking about the synths, which are really robots. How you have like bad robots threatening the entire universe, and the company doing it is Bad Robot. How strategic is that?
Not only that, they have a secret hideout on a planet.
Yeah, that too. Good point. Good point. It's all about finding the secret hideout of the bad robots.
I call them secret robot.
So basically, those are like the plots of Star Trek Picard. One plot line is Picard getting with a young woman, and the other is finding the secret hideout of the bad robot. Fantastic.
Yep.
So in other words, $400 million was wasted. 10 hours of our time plus however much time on these.
And Picard tries to get with his best friend's daughter.
It is genuinely a vanity project for Patrick Stewart. Like, there's nothing of substance here. All of it was an absolute vanity project. It's just it's just him flagellating himself for 10 episodes.
In all of this, I'm wondering. In all of this, I'm wondering who's taking care of the dog.
Yeah, he fucked off.
Romulan servants that he just left.
They put this dog in all the marketing. He's only in it for one bloody episode. Come on.
Well, he was in it for this last one, though, but I'm sure that was just a shot from the first one.
Probably that was more of Patrick Stewart's activism, because he apparently has an issue with many people being afraid of bulldogs. Because some people do that, and I guess he apparently is one of them. So he wants to showcase how kind and everything it is in all the posters, and then it's like on 10 minutes on screen.
He is a pit bull.
I don't care. I don't mind. I'm all about the dogs. So I'm good with that. That's good.
Yeah. Well, the dog lived. That's at least there's that. But I keep thinking to myself now, well, there's 10 hours of my life I'm not getting back. So,
well, the dog is probably well looked after by his Romulan house servants.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she's saying that? When do you think Jean-Luc's coming back? He's gone and fecked off with a bunch of other people now.
That was mildly Scottish there. But yeah, all right.
What if somebody sent off the message that that Picard is dead, and then they end up getting rid of the dog or something like that?
And then Picard shows up. Where's number one? Oh.
Oh dear.
That's going to be much interesting to see if the dog will recognize this new and improved Picard, because he's.
I don't think what
a waste! I can't get over it.
This is
he's not improved. He's not dithering a whole.
If you think about it, the new body won't have the same smell.
Well, let's hope not.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Won't have any of the microorganisms.
That's what I mean.
On an organic body, anyways.
That's a very astute observation, Andre. Yeah.
Well, let's look at it this way, and even and Mr. H is very right about this, at least in my opinion, that this is nothing but a vanity project for Patrick Stewart. Every single scene, even though he's made to be the bad guy and yelled at by every woman in the room, it's still nothing but a bunch of scenes set up for him to chew the scenery with some actor. That's all this was. Every episode was just give Picard something to do that's exciting as an actor. Because as I've pointed out before, these actors don't usually give a shit. They don't really care. It's not like they go home and watch Star Trek, all the time and study the show constantly. No, they show up, they get their sides, they do their part, and they go home. And then 7 years later, they forget about it. That's how come we got dune buggies and pew-pews and Nemesis. Because Patrick Stewart got his way to make Picard an action hero.
Let us not forget the episodes of the Next Generation where basically he was Bruce Willis in Die Hard when someone hijacked the Enterprise. Let's not forget that.
He kills Tim Russ.
Yeah,
what were you saying,
Mr. H? You were saying.
Broken Dream said that they ripped off Altered Carbon. They added re-sleeving in the Star Trek universe, which is true. Like now, they've added in a universe-shattering mechanism. No death. You can live for fucking ever now.
Well, I mean,
you can.
Picard's dead, but it's really a copy of him. But but
it doesn't matter. You live on. Doesn't matter if you die. It's the same thing that they did in what was it, Star Trek Into Darkness, when they had that weird little creature thing. They were like, these are elements a writer should know better than to introduce, because they break the universe. Because now there's no threat. Who cares? Who gives a fuck?
No, this last. Go ahead, Rob.
The majority of these people aren't writers. I mean, I don't know what are Akiva goals other than Michael Chabon. I mean, who should not be.
Akiva's a producer. Kurtzman's a producer. Yeah. They're producers, and that's the thing. This show has more producers than it does actors and actresses.
Yeah, well, every writer's been given a producer credit, and every producer's been giving a writer's credit.
Alex Kurtzman wasn't even a producer. He started out as like a visual effects artist, didn't he?
I have no clue, and I really don't care. He was probably piss poor at that. My point is this episode goes officially over the cliff. It jumps the shark. This is officially worse than Star Trek Discovery for two fucking reasons. Simply this: they killed Picard and put him in a body that's exactly like himself. We already covered that shit, right? Secondly, if I was Stryker, if I was Riker, I would be pissed as hell the next time I see Picard. It's like, oh, how nice of you to do what I needed for my son ever many years ago. It's glad to see you got off your ass and fucking saved him. So I don't even care. I never got to meet this character, but the fact that the firstborn son of Troy and Riker died because, oh well, fuck it. That pisses me off.
Yep. And on top of that, Picard's new body, he can't get.
Where's Law?
So to me, those two things beat everything Star Trek Discovery has done to this point. This is this is worse than even I'm even willing to argue this is almost worse than Jake Skywalker. You know, at least they give him the dignity to die,
like properly, and be in the
or
forest.
not properly, but
they brought him back for what?
Well, he was a Force ghost because that's what we knew. He'd be back as a Force ghost, but yeah.
Well,
and he at least went back on his old stuff, yeah.
Well, Michael Chabon this actually came from a tweet from Variety, and Mecca just sent this to me on Twitter. He says about this, you're motivated to have things simply because it's possibly going to piss off or provoke people who seem to have missed the memo just what exactly Star Trek is and has always been about. It's never been about this, motherfucker!
Yeah, well,
Jesus.
What exactly is the implication behind what he's saying? Like, what is it? What is he implying that Star Trek is actually about then? Because clearly someone's jumped the fucking.
Don't try to
ship
figure
on this
out.
one,
Here's the thing: Chabon was the worst person they could have brought onto this. He is a fucking spaced out hippie.
Yep.
Fucking honestly, we need to insert Cartman saying "fucking hippies."
No, I'm seriously because we spent
so I'm serious as well. Fuck
the
hippies.
entire last half
We
episode.
found his YouTube channel.
The last half episode on his YouTube channel, he's been reading children's book to kids over the lock-in. Oh my God, is it some of the most hilarious?
Did you see the beginning of that? It's so uncomfortable. Like, if I didn't know who this person was, I think he's a pedo.
You want to know what's even? You want to know what's
Because he's
even
just
funnier?
like, oh, I really miss when my kids were little because I could read them stories, and I was like, oh my God, weirdo.
Mecca said, put it at 0.5 speed or whatever. He's fucking not just stoned; he's drunk. Then, and it's hilarious even more so.
No, he reminds me of the type of writers I've seen and stand-up comics I've seen that they just have that look on their face like they've just been trying to recover from being hit in the face with a shovel. Like they just don't know what the heck's going on. Their smile is like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just about to pass out now. They're the epitome of the foolish grin. And
it's more like Chong, who's had way too much.
Yeah, but at least Chong can say something funny.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Way too much because at least Chong can keep his gears about him.
You know what? That would explain a lot if the showrunner for this was high during the duration of the showrunner process and so whacked out of his mind that he wasn't able to do any kind of good decisions. That actually would explain a lot here.
Well,
because whoever greenlit all these things, they obviously weren't at their full senses.
I don't want to blame this on like Weed because Weed doesn't do shit like this. He's got to be on something else.
No, it's a combination. Like, there are some creatives that need to get like in an altered state in order to sort of just get over that block and hurdle.
He's in an
and
altered
there's
state.
others that learn how to figure out how to do that without the need of drugs because they also don't want to overdose and die in the future. So yeah, like you can't rely on an altered state to unlock your creativity when you're like at his age. Like that just shows that he's never gotten out of the pattern of like, sitting down and looking at his past work and be like, wow, this is a great idea. How did I come up with this? Oh yeah, it was drugs. Well, what was I thinking when I actually like, just hit the joint or did you have to go through the process to sort of overcome your own like fear of failure so that you can actually really experiment and take a risk. Because when you're in an altered state, you get a little bit more confidence or more paranoia. And
Well-
if you have to rely on that, you can't really make anything great as a result in the future.
Yeah, it sounds
Well,
like this guy relied on that 20 years ago, and and we are paying the consequence for it right now.
Yep.
What do they call it? Dutch courage? When you get drunk and you have to do something. I mean, look.
Yeah.
Well, we can say we know why he's called JL because it's not Jean-Luc Picard. Just like that's Jake
Yep.
Picard.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Can't
Yeah,
put
he's
the
modeled
You were
JL
saying
Picard.
something.
I said, well, can't put the. Well, I was saying, what do you call it? Dutch courage, liquid courage. But the whole thing, that whole thing about genius being untapped when you're high. I mean, if you weren't a genius before you were high, before you got high, you're not a genius after.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Smoke
I mean,
weed.
there's a reason writers like to kind of be in solitude at some time. We do have some antisocial skills and a little bit of lack of confidence from time to time. But if you can find a way in yourself to overcome that, but like overcoming the hippies that Cartman to my right here is talking about, you can end up, you don't have to rely on a dealer to help you achieve your goals. And I'm not like anti-drug or anything. I just don't like abuse of it, and I don't like over-reliance on it, and I don't like it being treated as a crutch. And I'm not going to also promote it in any way.
You got to take substances to be creative. You're not fucking creative. All right.
Exactly.
So that's the bottom line. Like, frankly,
I always say the Beatles weren't geniuses because they did drugs. They were geniuses and they did drugs. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Right. That's like
Also, they
Cheech
can
and
only
Chong,
remember
yeah.
the same 6 notes. But they
No, they
had
Well, it
so
works.
many different configurations that it's
Yeah. Yeah, you're working with the same. Yeah, you're working with the same 6 or 7 notes everybody else is working with, which you have to find new ways of doing, new ways of putting them in different orders. Oh Lord, how did it come to this? How
I
did
tell you,
it?
How did we come to this?
I recently watched the 1997 anime of Berserk, and that is a long, winding narrative. Right? It's super slow, fucking fantastic. I watched Picard, like just the hours just drag and drag and drag, and nothing happens.
But if you're
Go
really
on.
stoned on some mushrooms, it probably feels like it's flying a mile a second.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, there's just so many great examples of great storytelling from Japan and just like more modern. I mean, like I said, Berserk, Cowboy Bebop, even though it's episodic, there's still common threads that run through it. You have things like oh God, why am I drawing a blank? I mean, a lot of the Gundam series from Japan have great series, but I'm like, oh my
Heck,
God,
even the
this is-
Super Sentai series, like from the 70s and 80s and early 90s, they're episodic, but they have a through line spine, and they're actually quite alarmingly entertaining for what they are. Just people transformed into rainbow colored costumes
I'll
and
tell you
fighting
what's
giant
sad.
monsters with robots.
Tell you what's sad is The Mandalorian was better. You got to praise Disney at this point by comparison.
Oh yeah,
to Star Trek.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Such
I
a
don't
shame,
think
isn't
he
it?
was Baby Yoda.
Huh?
The Mandalorian
Well-
gave us Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
He's so cute.
There's that, but also like the Mandalorian, Star Trek Picard only had really 3 episodes that kind of had a narrative plot, and the rest was all kind of filler. But the Mandalorian's filler at least had something extra to it, aside from Baby Yoda, to make you want to at least come back for the next episode.
Well, I guess the difference is that Picard should have had a narrative thread in every episode because that's they had that's how they set up their series. Whereas the Mandalorian is not established like that. So you've got two. They're good opposites to take a look at. Like how ultimately Picard really did fail was that they just didn't continue anything along properly with any level of pace in each episode. Like you can't do that. Like you got a narrative there. Fucking pursue it.
Script Doctor, I have a question for you. This
Yes.
whole series, 10 episodes, was about 9 hours long in total. If you take away like each episode was like 1 full hour, but like 50 minutes and stuff. So let's just say 9 full hours. Of those 9 full hours, how much was filler and how much was actual content in your estimation that actually drove the plot
I
forward?
would say around 7.5 to 8. Just ballparking it. It's about 7.5 to 8 hours were filler. Were things they could do in a much more efficient amount of time. As I said at the start of this entire premise could have been done in 2 solid good episodes of original TNG.
Right, like I
it
said,
could have been done in a
1 or
movie.
2,
in a 90-minute movie, it could have been done. The whole story.
It could have easily been like Sherlock, where they did 3-minute movies. Yeah.
Or, well, I put this on here just for Mr. H.
They're not people, they're hippies.
Yes.
Well, anyway, somebody brought up, actually, Mecca brought up in the chat. He goes, on the Star Trek official YouTube channel, I believe it was, their Twitter feed, they actually sat a 7-year-old down and had him watch Picard to try to prove that this is suitable for children. No, that is to abuse. That is criminal neglect.
And I watched the video, and you can tell they're feeding him shit to say. Just like that little girl who's telling the story of Star Wars. There's a reason why there's quick cuts in there, folks, because that's every time the parents are saying, now say this. Now say this. Now laugh and say this. It's pretty obvious.
I want to say that you can do that with anything. You can have a kid watch freaking Hellraiser and do the same thing. That doesn't mean it's appropriate for the kid.
No.
Yep.
Mommy, why did that girl swimming get eaten by the shark?
No, and it needs to be pointed out. This is on Star Trek's actual YouTube channel, their official channel, and that's the thing. If you wanted this to be for families, make it like regular Trek. Then dipshit, quit making it TVM. You idiots, quit putting F words and torture porn in it. Then maybe parents would be like, yeah, my kid can watch it, right? Yeah, and incest too. Thank you, Anna.
Yeah,
that incest
even going
thing,
back to the original
God.
first 2 seasons of Star Trek, the most edgy they got would be talking about sexual behavior, drugs, and rape. That was all that's as far as they went. They didn't show it, they didn't depict it, they just used it as part of their subject matter, and then they slowly geared away for that between seasons 3 and 7. But at that time, they were trying to be edgy, and they decided to do it in a very in a manner that would go over a child's head, but not to the adults that were watching. But and they're doing stuff gratuitously, and then then Shaban goes and says we don't want it to be gratuitous. It's like you clearly don't understand the definition of that word.
Well, they can sit there and hide behind, we were never straight up said that they did anything, so that doesn't mean that there was any incest. It's like, I'll flat out say this. You know what? I've had quite a few girlfriends in my time. I've never had a cousin or a family member come up to me and go, "You didn't fuck any on the way here, did you?" But I've had a couple girlfriends say shit like that.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was just a whole nother level of jealousy and disturbed behavior.
It's fucking weird. Just like, it's weird that they thought that was good as well. Like, they've intentionally sought that out. They've screen tested them. They've got chemistry, this, that, and the other. They've intentionally manufactured that.
Yeah.
And they approved it. They thought it was good.
Oh, and here's the other part to that relationship. So apparently Narek was the Jat Vash washout and an outcast of the family, and like he's the loser of the runt, the black sheep, and he's the one that like accomplished the mission. So they're trying to like turn something around on.
Yeah, and that was shoehorned in with one line where he's yelling at his sister. It's like we didn't know this entire time that he was the outcast black sheep of the family.
And what happened?
They didn't establish that.
What happened to him?
Should have established before, I think.
I don't think it was.
No, I don't remember it being established.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. That was the first thing we heard, was like this one throwaway line, like, "Oh yeah, by the way, here's what you needed to know about me at the very freaking beginning."
Yeah, and then the way she reacts to it is even funnier, because then she's like, "All right, well, do what you got to do," and then she swallows her fucking pride, because all this time she's
my God. Oh God! I'll put it in my review, which no one can see yet because it can't go up online because they keep blocking it worldwide. But when she says, "Do you want to come see my hiding place?" I was like, "That's a fucking euphemism, isn't it? Seriously, do you want to come see my hidey hole? Oh, it's got waves.
Doctor.
Oh, it's wet.
It's got an ocean view and all that stuff. Yeah,
unbelievable, dirty fucking slag.
No, and
what the hell is wrong with you people?
When she's fighting
sorry,
with
Anna.
Seven, it's fine. It's later on when she's fighting with Seven, then she like stops in the middle of this battle and say, "Oh, you're pretty." It's like,
I know,
what the
right?
hell?
Yeah, I
Make up
mean,
your mind, chick.
it doesn't matter if it's true. It's like completely pointless to put that.
Lesbians everywhere.
Well, Howard Stern used to say lesbians equal ratings.
And that's the other thing. It's like, okay, we're not supposed to sexualize women whatsoever, but yet
Nope.
every woman on this show is either a lesbian or a sex-crazed robot.
Well, but but you see, men aren't supposed to think of women in a sexual manner, but women can think of other women in a sexual manner.
And then you got Sutra, who is so overtly sexual, it's not even friggin'
Well, her
funny.
name is Sutra. Come on.
I know, right?
Sutra. Anyone think of that?
Oh, everybody.
Just everybody.
everybody, I said,
Except
where's
for the people writing.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like thinking that whole thing there, that's like a tantra temple for
Well, they
Sue
named her
and,
sister
for Sue and
Dharma,
Jordan
wasn't it?
Peters.
It
Yeah,
was,
exactly.
it was Jhana.
Jhana, yeah,
and
Jhana.
Sutra. So Jhana Sutra, which is close enough to Kama Sutra.
I know, yeah. It's like it probably
When
was
I
Karma
heard
Sutra
that,
in the
when
original
you
script.
see them and it looks like they're on like a Malibu beach resort and they're all dressed like that, immediately I thought, I was like, is this some kind of like weird sex cult with
Of
androids?
course
No,
it
it's
is. Of
fucking
course it
Mean
is.
Girls. It's Mean Girls in Star Trek. What are you talking about?
Oh, Mean Girls
Yeah.
are smarter than that, though. Like, come
They're
on.
They're
No,
conniving.
True.
What
Yeah.
that was is obviously that was like Chabon's whacked out of his mind 70s hippie smoking free love harmony Kama Sutra Tantra hideout.
They're not people, they're hippies.
Exactly. Where basically
Exactly,
they
yeah.
gone and made their own love nest of androids, willing and everything. That was like
They don't do
live action remake of
Caligula?
Yeah, thank
Well,
you. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the name
Mecha-
Jhana is like the name HAL, or HAL is like IBM, because you just go one letter beyond. Jhana just J to the K, which is the next one line, and then N to the M, which is just previous.
Give him a
letters. So there
beat
you got
now.
it. Yeah.
Give him a beat. That's the beginning of a song right there.
I mean, what else are they doing? They're androids. They could literally be doing like what, millions of calculations per second in their minds, and they're just chilling on a planet playing soccer
And doing Chai
planning.
Chi.
Like, what was
Yeah,
the purpose of her letting him go anyway? I still don't. That just still didn't quite add up in my brain.
Oh,
don't think
to
anyone knows.
stage him for killing the other synth,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
and which ended up being Sutra, and then Soong doesn't even reveal that information to the rest of
Yeah,
the
that's
synths.
right. Okay, yeah.
So
And where did
stupid.
he go?
Well, he
Where
first.
did Neric go after that? We don't know.
Yeah,
He just-
exactly. What did he do? Is he going to go lead the Borg now?
He's probably going back to that commune and just going to start, as his sister said, fucking all the other androids there.
It loves a bit of electropus.
I love how this show is left open ended though, to where it could be ended, or they're going to end up running into some trouble on the way back home.
We don't even know where they're going.
Back home? It looks like they're going
I
to
don't
go
think
start
they
a
know
new
where they're going.
adventure.
That's what my point is. Is it's set up to where, however you got to end. If this is an end, that's fine.
They better be taking Girardi to Deep Space 12 to be arrested. 'Cause she,
Fuck no, they ain't
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
that. They
yeah.
let Romulan bitch go too. They ain't nobody getting in trouble for none of this shit.
man,
no,
the
they
future's
got over
awesome.
that.
I can commit crimes and get away with it.
Did you guys notice, though, how they didn't even mention how Raffi knew about the whole conspiracy theory? I think that would have been a great way for her to say, hey, android people, I've been trying to tell Starfleet since the beginning that it wasn't your fault. That
All they
Mom-
gave her was it sound familiar.
Yeah, and it's like, she couldn't have brought that up. I'm like, that was one of the main plot points when you introduced her, was that she knew about this conspiracy theory within Starfleet and the Romulans, and it never gets mentioned again. I'm like, this would have been a perfect time to resolve that, but no.
Yeah, exactly.
even
She's been
bringing it
sitting on this evidence for like 14 years, and she never tells us what the evidence is. It's not until the bottle episode where she learns about the Conclave of 8 and those 8 stars and stuff, and now we're getting this flood of information that we should have been getting trickled throughout the whole series, where like every step they take reveals another clue that she has evidence to support. But no, they don't do that because that requires structure, time, and thought for the writer's room, and they don't have enough time to do that because they have to remake the show after
They
their
had,
test reviews came back negative.
They had perfect opportunity to do all of that as well, even in the episode where she meets her son. He could have said something like a throwaway line of like, oh, you're obsessed with the Enclave of 8, blah, blah, blah.
He did kind of say, but they didn't give you any kind of like like Anna was saying, they didn't give you any specifics. I mean, he
that's
says
what I mean.
that,
Like, give
and we get that,
specific,
and we get
don't
that
just say
beginning of
conspiracies, you know.
what, episode 4 or whatever it is, where we get the flashback, and
But then there was also interaction with her and
Yeah.
Rios, right? Again, get him to say something. They've known each other for a long time. Get him to say, "Oh, you know, you've always been thinking about X, Y, and Z." You know, just drop in a little factoid just there. But no, that would require
Speaking
thinking.
of dropping in, I actually feel really cheated about this whole thing, Conclave of 8, which is then like this artificial solar system of 8 stars, which is this super advanced thing, and the gravity relation between them is like super advanced and all stuff like that. They were talking about how amazing that was. Why couldn't they show us? I was like thinking, oh yeah, this is cool. Show us this. I want to see that star system with 8 suns. I want to know a little bit more about that. No, we didn't.
Yeah,
we
you
didn't
could have a
get to
whole
see that.
episode researching that,
One-
and
Exactly. That would have been Star Trek. That would have been science fiction.
yeah,
A
exactly.
really
oh, I
cool
acknowledge that in
concept.
my
But
episode.
that's the thing. They
review.
squandered. They
Was
squandered
it composed?
everything.
They planted mystery boxes that never paid off.
Yeah,
That's-
the whole thing. That's exactly same thing with the Borg Queen, 7 of 9. Again, cool thing they could have explored, chose not to. Right? There's so many of these things that they just sit. You know, yeah.
Plot threads that go nowhere.
And didn't O have like another lackey in the beginning of the show too, besides the Romulan chick?
I guess they forgot.
I was gonna say, because I kind of am trying to remember, because I thought she had another one, because then when she came in and said something to her, and then they had the others. Yeah.
No. That it was the Romulan.
No,
chick,
it was.
but
Was
she
it her?
dressed
It was
as-
Peyton List. It was just with round ears. She was the lieutenant that left. The O only had conversations with 3 female characters, and that was Girardi, Captain Hubris, and Narissa is her name. And I learned that through the subtitles because they never speak her name in the actual show.
Remember the Enterprise incident where Kirk had surgery to look like a Romulan? They must have figured, hey, maybe we could do that, but backwards.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, they even did it to Deanna when she was pretending to be a Tal Shiar agent on Next Gen.
Yep, and in Next Gen, there's also a Vulcan that ended up being surgically a Romulan that was surgically altered to be a Vulcan that then escaped
Yeah,
the
and she
ship.
was living on Vulcan for what, decades?
She was an ambassador
Pretending to
for
be an
decades,
ambassador?
It's so cute. You guys think they actually watch shit.
Oh no,
And-
they didn't. I don't think they watched it. I'm just saying these are examples of that stuff done better.
They watched like 3 or 4 episodes, maybe the movies. That's about it.
Well, they might have watched it, but they didn't understand
And
it.
that
That's
word,
for
yeah.
certain. And then they accuse us of not understanding, which is rich, because it only means that they got their own weird-ass interpretation of what Star Trek is, and this is an interpretation that they haven't shared with anyone. They just assume that we almost know because it's so obvious to them. But they were obviously high as fuck when they came up with that conclusion of what Star Trek is about,
Well-
and when they wrote this whole series.
I know,
And
but
there's
I could get high off my ass and still come up with a better.
Right.
More
I
coherent
agree with that.
version of it. Yeah.
There's something more to this than that. But no, like I can tell there's a lot of evidence to there being some messing around with the last few episodes besides that tweet we showed earlier. Some other people noticed that in the flashback of the attack on Mars, the original attack, there's no insignias on the ships, but in the secondary flashback when they show it all again, every shot's exactly the same. It's the same exact stuff, but only this time there's a Starfleet insignia on the ships, I guess. So there's a bunch of shit that they evidently went back to try and something changed at some point.
Well, wasn't there a shot where the Romulans were approaching Mars in some of the promotional images?
Maybe that's what I'm saying. Like there was some major changes with this whole finale of these last 2 episodes. Besides what we've already talked about, we obviously have been noticing a lot of reshoots throughout.
Which means it was worse than what we all saw.
Probably.
And the
Or
fact
they
that they felt this was
is the
better is
fixed
also pretty
version,
sad.
but-
Right, and like I said, that or those leaks were true, because that's the only thing that I can see making any sense as to why you would even do the whole Gollum thing with Picard is you wanted to change something like he was not meant to be downloaded to there. I think it was either meant to be Data, or he was at one point they were thinking about making him a younger character, but then when we figured that shit out, they changed it, or something happened along the lines where he wasn't even involved in that.
Well, you want to know how you could really make this show probably way better, but only slightly. is if you revealed that Alton Xiego Sum is really just lore in a new skin, and he led the Romulans to that planet with the 8 suns to trigger their actions to do all this horrible things so that he could wipe out the galaxy of humans and then rule as a synth god type of thing.
Well, the whole bits with Soji and everything like that just show that they haven't watched any of the episodes that where like Lol was in them or anything with lore. They barely watched Measure of a Man.
They got B4 wrong. They called B4 a copy, and he came before Data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And actually, he was put there by Picard's
clone. They found
clone,
somehow found this body somewhere, and then just spread it out on a planet near Romulan space to sort of get everything all going. Yeah. It's so many missed opportunities, so many other story threads that are far more interesting.
So much wrong. Guys, I suggest that we take like 2 minutes to contemplate that and just like cool our minds a little bit while I go through some super chats. Because we've got
I'm going to grab another bottle of water. I'm getting parched.
Yeah.
Grab something with alcohol that might help.
Yeah. If you boost up that water a little bit, then we'll be talking. So, yeah. Anyway, everyone that's been sending super chats, thanks. We're about to get to them right now. Everyone who asked us questions or something like that didn't send super chats, sorry, we don't mean to ignore you. It's just that the comments, they fly by so fast that we don't get everything. Simple as that. Whereas the super chats, they actually are stored separately, so we see them. And getting to them, Captain Hare started us off with $2 saying, I'm here to fully enjoy Rob's pain. Oh, hi, Andre.
You heard him break.
I think that my pain is probably greater than Rob's right about now, because I had to suffer through 3 episodes in one day. I wouldn't even ask that of Rob. And then Zach Losel sent us $1.99. Can someone use that magic wand on Trump's brain? It's funny, I can think of some other politicians that could use a wand like that as well, but I'm not going to turn into politics right here. Sister Harrow sent us $5 Australian. Thank you so much. I social distance from Picard at episode 2. Good call. You did the right thing as recommended by the World Health Organization.
But you can watch it for free now.
Yeah, but why would you want to?
I know, but it's stupid. They're touting it like it's the same exact deal they've been offering everybody for however long. Basically a free month or a free week or whatever.
It's exactly what they do when people don't actually go and buy and they get desperate, then they give it away for free. How many times have we not seen CBS All Access do this before with all the Discovery series?
You want to know what they were really doing? They were trying to get a record for the final episode is what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So they could go out there and say we got a records broke the last record we had for the opening episode with the final episode.
Yeah. Well, they weren't releasing figures officially anyway, were they?
No. And that's the thing is everybody's running with, it broke records. It's a big hit. It's like, no, it only broke CBS All Access's records. And the only number they kind of floated out there was like 4 or 4.5 million people signed up. And that's it. And they've been throwing that number around when they've been combining it with Showtime. So I don't know if they're just trying to say that, they finally got to 4 million on their own with Picard or what. Because even if that's the case, that's not real great.
No, it isn't. Far from it. Moving on. Avenger MK2 sent us $4.99 saying, 20-minute standoff. Romulans run away. Quote Monty Python. Run away, run away. Yeah.
Run away! Run away!
Would have been better if the real police kind of came in and shut down the production and then hauled everybody off to jail like they did in Monty Python.
Or on screen would have been better if the Romulans just fried the planet and saved the rest of the galaxy.
At this point, I don't care if it was Sting and the police who stopped them, as long as somebody stops them.
Exactly.
Have you got any goddamn feelings about that?
Yeah.
But Sting would have to be in the same outfit he wore during the Dune movie.
Oh, yeah. Fade Rauta.
Yeah.
My only problem with that is you got Sting in that movie and Toto doing the soundtrack. How do we not get an end song by Sting and Toto together?
Missed opportunities.
Missed up, yep.
Too many creatives.
Welcome to
Too many
Dune.
creative powerhouses.
Oh, can't you see through the sand?
Exactly.
It's Dune.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for the new Dune movie. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. That one, script for that is spot on. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, Stephen Klein sent us $1.99 saying ending would have been better if Q cured Picard. Well, it certainly wouldn't have been any worse.
Which is funny, they released
that.
Did anybody else see speaking of the Star Trek YouTube channel, did you see that they released a Q video today?
No.
Yeah, they got John Delancey talking about Q, yeah.
So
they could still bring him back next season and be like, this artificial body won't deal with any snaps like it's organic again.
They've got him on he was at Star Trek Las Vegas. They had almost the entire TNG crew at Star Trek Las Vegas, and they did not get them all on stage together. They had almost 75% of the crew there.
Well, they had
Gates McFadden.
They had everybody. Okay, they had Gates. They had Patrick Stewart. It was LeVar was there.
Yep.
Will Wheaton wasn't there, was he?
No, and thank God.
Michael Dorn was there.
Yeah, I think he showed up on Saturday, I think it was. And then, yeah, pretty much everybody was there except for Whoopi.
Whoopi went the year before, I think, and that was, like, huge.
Just Whoopi and what's her face, the one you just said that wasn't there. Will Wheaton. Otherwise, everybody else was there.
Yeah. I even think Nurse
Patrick Stewart, of course, wasn't there, but... So those three were like the only ones there, not there. So
Anyway, good times. Moving on, Stephanie Littlepage sent us $5 saying, about the only thing I liked about Picard was Santiago Cabrera as Rios. Yeah, he was good. I saw him in Salvation, and given a decent script, he's quite good. Absolutely, no argue there. And also the same with the entire cast. Everyone in the cast is good, which is what makes this an even worse crying shame and a waste, if you ask me, because there was so much talent here. This could and should have been so good, and it wasn't. And that's not the actor's fault.
So season 2 will answer the question of what part of how Rios got that shrapnel on his shoulder. Then I guess never found out about that.
Who the hell cares? Yeah. Lost Jedi 22 sent us $10 saying, so does Picard have flawless memory and supercomputation abilities now, or is he running dumbhuman.execute? Can anyone sign up to be expert to a synth body now? Fuck exercise, give me a synth body. Yeah, I'd be down for that. But yeah, that's exactly what Mr. H pointed out, that they just wrote themselves into a huge freaking problem here. This was even worse than on Star Trek Voyager, when they replaced Harry Kim with a double from another dimension. Because they did that. The Harry Kim that you have like in the first couple of seasons, he dies. He dies in pain and agony. And he's replaced by Harry Kim from another dimension. And nobody cared. This was worse, because that at least was like from another dimension. Here, anyone in principle can get a Gola. So now we're like full on Dune.
And he'll never get sick. Picard will never get sick. He'll die, quote, naturally, but he'll never get sick because it's an artificial body, unless they like inject him with a computer virus.
And he stepped off the ship and got hit by a bus.
Yeah, my God. So it boggles the mind. But yeah, moving on. Sporking News Podcast sent us $2 saying, Picard ended up just like the season with no soul. Yes, so true. And Avenger MK2 sent us another $1.99 saying, apparently Seven and Raffi are banging now, LOL.
Seven has terrible taste in women, eh?
Yeah, but Raffi has great taste. But still, yeah, they weren't courageous enough to show us that, now were they?
Well, even at the end, when they're sitting there on the planet and Seven's sitting there drinking with Rios, and there's a second where he like is just looking at her, and I was like, are they gonna make them a couple now? What's going on? And then in the next scene, she's holding hands with Raffi. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. There was no build up.
No, Rios is with Murder Bitch.
I know, but I mean, he knows that she's a murder bitch, so why would you go back with her? You know,
Rios has a lot of issues.
It's typical though. They hint at it, but they don't show it. I want to see some full frontal giggity on this show. You said, oh, it's going to be more adult. We could do things that we can't do on network. We could have cursing, we have nudity, but they don't. They don't have the balls to go all the way with it.
No, they don't have the will
now,
because
they can classic Captain Picard, but they can't show any build up to how a relationship forms.
and also, what was it that Shaban said that they didn't want to do anything gratuitous?
Yep.
Yeah, I seen that comment, and then like 100 other people underneath it are like, "Are you fucking kidding? Did he watch episode what was it, 5 or whatever that each was killed in?
Yep.
Or 4? Yeah. What? Yeah. It's like
Actually,
all
who wrote that episode?
I know, like that's all the comments that are going. Yeah, it was just fucking hilarious.
I think that he probably has a different definition of gratuitous. At least I should hope so. But yeah, so basically he was thinking about something that people actually would want to see. That we cannot have. Moving on. Tyson Jalil sent us $5 Canadian saying, ignore the following. Jaradi still being a murderer. Synth ban lifted even though any of them can call a destroyer race on humanity. Ravi loving Picard. Yeah, ignore all of that. Because if you think too much about it, this whole series is going to fall apart. So yeah, better ignore it. At least that's what they're going to hope you do. We certainly won't do anything of the sort, which is why we're here. Yeah.
I can't wait. I just can't wait to see Major Grin's new video when they show Mikey Spock and that lady, that Romulan lady. You're the destroyer. So, no, nothing. Okay.
No, that. But
oh no!
Yeah, that's
Mikey
something
Spock will
that
be revealed to be a synth. Yeah.
Yeah. That's something that did annoy me, though, because again, here you have like the thing with ancient prophecies, and those prophecies were really specific, though, with like the destroyer and the keymaster or whatever the hell it was. Like, why make it so specific? Why rely so much on prophecies? Aren't you supposed to be Star Trek writers? I mean, you ripped off so many things of Dune, but you couldn't get that right, that the prophecies were planted specifically for a reason. Here you just rely on this ancient prophecy thing. My God, like...
Oh, even that, though, like when he's telling the prophecy around the fire, and he's like, you think it's worse, it could get worse, let me tell you, with these terrible monsters. And I'm like, dude, where's your planet? Oh yeah, that's right, it got destroyed by a supernova. Well, you're telling me that some android is worse than that?
They had a fully functioning spaceship that just was powered back up, and they're sitting around a campfire.
Well, yeah, not just that. When he's describing these things, it's like, and they will eat the blood of the children, and blah blah. It's like
entrails on the streets. But then he goes further. He says, "Before my ancestors went to Vulcan," he alludes that the Vulcans are not native to Vulcan; that they were transplants there prior to everything.
Say that one more time, because that's actually like an old-time theory in Star Trek, isn't it? That basically that the Vulcans, they came from Romulus, really, and then they were kicked off from the paradise planet that Romulus is to the desert hellhole that Vulcan is.
Well, that's one interpretation. In the actual canon, it's the Vulcans and Romulans were on Vulcan, and then the ones that charged under the wings of the Raptor left Vulcan 2,000 years ago to form Romulus. And then there's like I think the Q were involved in some way, allowing them to travel from Vulcan to Romulus far faster than what the warp capability was at that time. There's a lot of weird stuff there, but essentially they're the same species. And then I guess recently they added in something to that illusion that Romulus was paradise, or there was a paradise planet, and then they were exiled to the desert world of Vulcan.
See, now that's a prequel that I actually wouldn't mind seeing.
Yeah.
Nope.
We can agree to disagree on that one.
No, I'm just saying that's what they'll tell you. Nope.
Yeah. No.
Oh yeah.
Not doing that story.
That would be
no humans. Nobody's going to relate to it.
Yeah, but can we have Spock in it? Nope. Okay. No.
You have the great times 1,000 grandfather of Spock.
Is it his dad? Nope.
Sure.
Maybe if it was his
anyway,
grandpa.
that would have been a cool story. Moving on. Captain Hare sent us another $5 saying, calling it now. Android Picard is the villain of Star Trek Discovery Season 3. He's what collapsed the Federation, or that control AI is implanted in his body. Oh, don't give them ideas now.
No, I'm pretty
It's
sure
already
with the way
shot, they can't do that.
Yeah, because like these guys pointed out before, like this ultimate being now knows where they are. It might not get the time right this next time, but it'll destroy everything in its wake. It'll leave, and then they'll get to the future and they're like some of the only people left, and it's like everything's been destroyed by this, which was actually control, which evolved into this super uber machine being thing. And they'll find a way to tie it all together. Because there's no reason otherwise. Why would they have that stupid fucking commercial before this episode with her and that flag?
Well, if it's not control, it's basically those synth finally made their way to the galaxy, wiped everything out, and the control that's on Discovery right now that's been neutralized in the magnetic room or whatever, a la Terminator 3, maybe finds a way to merge itself with that higher synthetic being.
Maybe. Who
and
cares?
that way
it's
you
all
have like
stupid.
a linear. It is all stupid. It's just.
I'm really to the point where I really won't watch season 3 unless Andre makes us. That's about where I'm at.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're mentally prepared. So.
Well, I figured this much, but it's like I have told this after this last episode, I got so pissed off. I mean, I know everybody else here did too, but it's gotten to the point where I can't even buy into the bullshit of all the defenders of this crap anymore. Like I want to see
many defenders at all.
I was gonna say I want to see him try and defend this shit.
I actually tried that on Twitter. I got into an argument with one of the defenders.
You got into
of
an
the
argument
series.
on Twitter?
Well, not an argument.
Are you sick or just bored?
No, I was kind of bored, and I was like, it wasn't an argument. It was a discussion from my point of view, and an argument from the other person's point of view, because I kept on asking questions on why is this good, how is this good, and then I used some specific examples. Okay, explain this, blah blah blah. What's the meaning of that? And of course, I got absolutely no answers other than like insults hurled my way for like, how can I not see the greatness? And yeah,
pretty typical.
Yeah, pretty typical.
Don't you know it's not your father's Star Trek, man? It wasn't made for you, man. It's like totally different, man.
Yeah,
pretty
this
much
is evident.
Yeah.
Moving on, Mills sent us 35 South African Rand. Thank you so much. Basically saying national amusements just went bankrupt. They are in trouble, that's for sure. I don't know if I would call them bankrupt just yet, but I shall certainly look into it. If they are, that would certainly spruce up matters. But yeah, I want to explore that a little bit more fully before making such
yes,
a
Mecca
call.
says there's your mistake. You ask them a question, therefore they feel attacked. Yep, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah, I dared
How
question.
dare you ask me things?
This makes no. Yeah, like basically, I was like saying that. Okay, this immigration analogy that they're coming with, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Or the
There's
better one is proving
real world application
something
there.
they claim. Yeah,
Explain.
I don't have to prove it. It's like, yeah, you do. You presented it. It's the
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently, curiosity is a form of violence now.
The burden of proof falls on you. It's like, in what fucking world?
No, the accuser has to prove. That's
exactly. That's what I was like. Wait, no.
Yeah, well, actually, I did that. I did prove that it made no sense whatsoever.
Yes, Andre, just sheer fucking hubris of you.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare I? That's my that's the leftover Viking stuff still in me. But anyway, moving on. Matt G sent us 2 super stickers at $1.49 each with the 2 cute little what they're called again? Unicorns.
Careful, they're
yeah, so
doomicorns.
cute. Yeah, well, there you go. Anyway, thank you so much. Much appreciated. And our favorite Mexican Iron Man sent us $19.99.
You're muted, Rob.
How in the name of God could they ruin an actor like him, characters like Picard and Seven, and a franchise like Star Trek? any of you would have written a superior script opening a bottle of scotch to handle my sci-fi depression. Yes, do drink that scotch.
It's a little tribute to
Mexican Iron Man. We salute you.
Little tribute in the friendliest possible way. And yeah, I agree. How could that's what boggles my mind. How could it be this bad? How could they blow it this freaking badly? Unbelievable. So let's drink and drown our sorrows.
It's definitely a learning experience. Like there are classes. Well, I mean, there were classes where the writers would teach writers' craft students why The Last Jedi doesn't work as a film, and now the same can be done for Picard.
I think the series is summed up in their own words: sheer fucking hubris.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's chapter 1.
Yeah, should be. How screenwriting 101, how not to do it. Watch Star Trek Picard, among other things. Anyway, Adam Wofford sent us $5 saying, the ending ripped off the ending first Hellboy, X-Men 3, Mass Effect, and The Expanse. And don't forget the first Avengers that I would like to have in there. And then finally, we'll deal with this one. Then we take a break from Super Chats before we resume them later. Cedarwood, he sent us $5. Thank you so much, saying, what do you fellas think of the Variety article by Chabon? I haven't read that yet. Any idea which article this is referring to and what he said there?
Well, there was the one he wrote about his dad, and then other than that, I don't know if you're referring to that
probably the one of the missing the memo on Star Trek is.
I read it last night, and we're not the ones missing the point. He is. It's okay. He's gonna talk up his series. He's gonna defend his work, but at the same time, the guy couldn't be more off base if he tried.
Why is he even bothering? He's not even coming back. I would just shut my mouth and cash my check.
Yeah, he's going off to do Cavalier and Clay, which a lot of people might not like anyways.
At this point, why piss off anybody? I mean, really?
He's gonna do what did you call the animal?
Oh, he's got his show Cavalier and Clay that is going to be with I guess CBS gave him that show.
Like
it's based off of his book series, which it's not that great. I've got the it's the 2002 draft that he was submitting. That's his 7th draft, and I've skimmed through it, and it's pretty terrible.
Oh my god! So basically,
I don't know if this person wants me to
thing then.
Yeah, I don't know if this person wants me to say this or not, but they basically said they read a lot of his other script writing, and they didn't think that he was that great of a writer, and they think he has a really good editor for his books.
Oh, no, I said that.
Okay, I didn't know if you wanted me to say that out loud.
No, that's the brilliance of my own anonymity right here. I get to say that, and but that is my alleged theory, is that he has a really good manager and editor, and they're able to whip him into shape to give some good content for his novels and stories. But when it comes onto the screenwriting side of things, he's doing this either away from them without their guidance, and he's got his other team, and they're just not giving him the same scrutiny that the other team does, and it shows.
It's like, where do they find these people? How can they all be so bad and so unsuited for Star Trek?
Well, I would say it's friends of friends, people that put the relationship over the meritocracy, the merit in that regard. That would be my theory that I've seen sometimes. That's the simplest way I could probably explain it. There's far more complicated other areas as well, but it functions much like high school in some regards, where you have your cliques and you have your popular people, and sometimes you have the the captain of the football team who really good at sports but not good at anything else, and for some reason he's chosen to run for student council president and he gets wins, and then all of a sudden all the dances and the formals and stuff are planned and done poorly and all the money's missing, and you're wondering what the heck's going on here. And it's like, well, you got the wrong person for the job because you picked one set of skills that they're really good at and think that they would transfer over to another set of skills that are completely unrelated. And that's, in some regards, some areas of Hollywood, how it functions right now.
Yeah, probably. It's probably the reason right there. As depressive as that may be.
Yeah, and it's been functioning like that for a long time. And then you have the students that graduate from USC and other screenwriting or film making schools, and they're all being brainwashed with the professor's own type of postmodern or whatever type of agenda that they have, and then they carry that into their work and they use that as their measurement for quality of screenwriting and stories, as opposed to something that might resonate a bit more personally with them or be more marketable to a wider audience. And then you have marketing departments that they don't do proper polls or gather proper analytical data, and they just do the laziest thing they can to get some good numbers to nail their contract and get the okay for, you know, movies that, well, like Terminator Dark Fate and Charlie's Angels and Birds of Prey, and wondering what the heck are these? Like those scripts, those stories would never have passed in the 90s at all.
Yeah, but now they are the norm. So yeah, I just got a question here from Darth Maul. The more they duck you up Trek, the cheaper it could be for Seth MacFarlane to buy. Heck, he may get Paramount too. Seth MacFarlane is not buying Star Trek. This is there's no.
He's a rich guy. He's not that rich.
Yeah, he's a rich guy, and he's also not having Comcast do it for him. So just hold your horses on that one. It's not happening.
Well, here's the problem with it. Even if there was any reality to that, CBS is not going to part with Star Trek for any amount of money that any company is going to think is worth.
Yeah, CBS would actually rather go under and have Star Trek become public domain than give it up. Like, if
CBS, they got desperate, they would sell it. But
yeah, well, if they got, I suppose they probably would, but it would take a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Is like at this point, it would be kind of like the whole George Lucas, Bob Iger thing. George wanted the Marvel deal, and the Disney people did the numbers, and they're like, no, it's only worth about maybe 3.5 billion. And George was pretty adamant about getting the same deal, more or less just to save face.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he didn't.
Well, he actually did get the deal because Disney.
Well, he wanted a lot more, but he got what he got.
Originally, he wanted the Pixar deal. That's what he wanted originally.
Yeah.
He wanted
the Pixar deal. Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted the $7 billion.
Yeah.
And to that, Disney were like, "Are you fucking high?" They didn't use those exact words, but kind of. But then he was like, well, "I cannot." Yeah, I cannot go under the Marvel deal. And then they gave him slightly above the Marvel deal, which is why he got 4.05 billion. Just
I'm sorry,
a
I said
little bit more
my
of
bad.
the Marvel deal.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah, hey. So yeah, that's how it's how that happened. We
Yeah,
have some
and
more super chats to
Did
go.
anybody
carry on.
check out before we do?
no,
All right, then we'll carry on with the super chats. You had your chance. Just gonna get back to where we were, and we were. Here we were. Adam Wofford sent us $5 saying the ending ripped. Yeah, I already said that one. The next one was then Sister Harrow. Sister Harrow sent us $1.99 and another nice little super sticker with an on-set share. Thank you so much. And ActionCom sent us $5 saying, why is Hollywood experimenting so hard with dead end storylines, i.e. Bruce Maddox, Luke's lightsaber. Script Doctor, your thoughts on that?
That's actually a great question. I would say it's not so much as a dead storyline. It's about the writers only going beyond the pitch. So, especially in the case of experienced writers like, and I use the term loosely, but for instance, Akiva Goldsman, Michael Chabon, Alex Kurtzman, they don't actually write out anything first. They come up with the pitch, they sell the pitch, and then after that, they have to start writing it. So that's why we're getting a bunch of stories that don't go anywhere. They just fall off because all it was a pitch, and they didn't actually, hunker down and realize, oh, is this pitch viable? There is a phrase in Hollywood that concept is king, and that is true to a degree. But the way you learn if the concept is worth of royalty is if it plays out to a good conclusion, to something that will make you at the end say, wow, this has to be made. And a lot of times you can be pitched something great at first and think, yes, this is a brilliant idea. We got to go ahead through it. And then as you start developing it, you can realize, oh yeah, there's things that just don't hold up. I mean, the pitch of like what happens to the Federation after the Romulans' homeworld is destroyed, that's a pretty interesting idea. And what we saw is a really terrible execution with regards to synths and AI and basically pillaging other science fiction franchises. Conversely, we can do a story that was recently put on YouTube. I can't remember what the channel was, but Mark Zickery, who was a writer for The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, he did a pitch that I didn't have a story for, which is what do we do when Starfleet decides to initiate first contact? Like, we know the after effects of it, we know the prime directive, but what happens when a species crosses that warp barrier and a ship is sent to actually initiate first contact? And they did that show where Riker, gets captured and then has to sleep with the alien in order to get away, and it ends up causing issues with the Starfleet and the Federation. It's a pretty good episode. This title is escaping me at the moment because I'm just kind of winging this right now. But the difference being is that Zickery is an experienced writer who has a lot of knowledge and background in science fiction, understanding genre and human relationships. And the writers that we're seeing right now are not so much up on their writing works or the genre. They're more on the competitive side. They just have to come up with a better idea than the person before them, and an idea that will be still remembered when the person after them gets the chance to speak. So sometimes great ideas just don't. Yes, first contact. Thank you. Oh, I should have known that. I thought
you said that. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. It's a competition of ideas that sometimes just don't pan out when you give it a bit more thought, and that's what we see here with Discovery. That's what we see with Picard. That's what we've clearly seen with the Disney Star Wars films. I haven't seen any of the current Doctor Who stuff. I got out when Capaldi took over, so but from what I hear, that's kind of like what it is. At the same time, it's just a habit of desperate great ideas that they're great when you first hear them, but when you think about them, they're like, what the hell was that? And that's why you have these stories where the story kind of encourages you not to think about what's going on, because if you think about it, it falls apart, and when it falls apart, it disappoints, and when it disappoints, it doesn't make money. And that's the case we have here.
Pretty much that about sums it up right there. Moving on, speaking of summing things up, Master Clockwork, he sent us $2 asking, so they stole the plot from the Orville. I'm a little bit behind, so I'm going to leave you guys to comment on that.
Yeah, we did already. Actually, you brought that one up while it was live. Yeah, they did kind of steal one of the plot lines from Orville with Isaac, his people, or whatever. He's a robot race. And, of course, Isaac is nice, and we love Isaac, but then we come to find out that his entire race is going to turn on everybody, basically. And, yeah.
Look forward to seeing that. Awesome.
The Kaylon have the same goal as the other synthetics, yeah.
Can't wait to catch up with some Orville.
Oh, yeah, Season 2 was actually better than the first season.
Yep.
I loved the first season, so looking forward to the second one. I'm just so behind on everything. But, yeah, moving on. Matt G sent us another super sticker of a cute little unicorn for $1.49. Thank you so much. And the Big Red Bear sent us $5 Canadian. This is a knockoff of Mass Effect 3. It's a terrible decision. It's a terrible story. Just let this thing die. Get rid of the franchise. Well, you may get that final wish sooner or later, but Mass Effect 3, I'm not a gamer, certainly not a modern gamer. Guys, do you agree with that? Is there any Mass Effect 3 in here? Probably is, I'm just curious.
Not me.
Not that I know.
Well, anyway,
I mean, I know of it, but yeah.
I don't even know that.
I played part of the second game and stopped. I mean, so it didn't, that's what.
Well, I guess that Mass Effect 3 is no good, and that just goes to show that they probably did rip it off. They rip off so many other things that why wouldn't they?
Say everything in this show and STD, everything's a ripoff. They don't have one freaking original bone in their bodies.
And on top of that, even if they're like, if you're gonna rip off something, you want to rip off the stuff that counts and then try and reinvigorate it to make it more your own within that context. Like, yes, there is the old axiom, there's only really 7 stories in humanity. So like they're all going to follow the same sort of path, but it's how we present that, how we make it different, what new ideas we can put into, build on top of those existing ideas that make the story entertaining and hopefully good if you can do it right. It's why writing is hard. And what we find out from these professional writers is that they believe that also, but they also don't recognize it to the point where they can go back and look at their scripts before they submit them for production and be like, yeah, we should be doing better than this. Like, they're not measuring themselves against anyone but themselves, and for them, themselves are perfect. They got the job.
Well, and they're getting clowned by the frickin' parody show of all things.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently their standard is a very low bar to everyone else. Moving on, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this, but Heshe Wing On It sent us $1.99 saying, love you guys. Oh, thank you. We love you too, and we love everyone that's watching right now, so thanks for sticking with us. And Ryan187, our own very moderator, sent us $10 saying, hey to my peeps and the bossman from your sheriff. Well, thank you, Sheriff. Much appreciated. Got to keep Dodge City in order. And Tyson Jalil sent us another $5 Canadian saying, there would have been massive political fallout if this was the next generation. Oh, hell yes. 218 ships and a traitor in Starfleet. This is like Section 31 being caught outright. Yeah, and they let her go. Oh my God,
that pissed me off so bad.
Yeah, so bad.
Because Riker's like, you better get the fuck out of here, and I'm just like, wait, Riker. He should have been like, your friends can leave, but we need to talk. And yeah, and he should have been escorting her ass to friggin' Federation, where she would be put on trial for all the shit.
Yeah, they just snatch her and be like, no extradition.
Not only that, they need to have a proper purge of Starfleet afterwards, because who knows how many other plans that woman has put in there.
Right, and people have also pointed out, speaking of Starfleet and Federation, how many times in this show, I guess, they've gotten themselves screwed up when mentioning one of the two. Like, they don't understand the difference.
Well, they probably don't.
Yeah, Starfleet is not the Federation. The Federation is different, but Starfleet's a part of it.
Right, Starfleet is like the United States to North America, which is like the Federation.
Well, it's a United Federation of planets.
That's my point. Yeah, so it's like
Earth.
yeah.
And Starfleet is sort of the de facto military arm of
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the Starfleet is us. The Federation is everyone. That was my point.
I have a better one for you. The Starfleet is the Marines. The Federation is the UN.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly, and you have like the UN
or the Navy,
or the actually the UN have peacekeepers from international representatives, so that would probably be the UN and the peacekeepers. Because anyone who's a member of the UN can join the peacekeepers. Anyone who's a member of the UN can't really join the Marines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's when you have like two separate things there. And
two separate wings, yeah.
Because they're allies, and that's why you have a Federation fleet and you have Starfleet.
Yeah, because the Vulcans still have their own Vulcan High Council and Vulcan ships. Same with Andorians and stuff. But the Starfleet is kind of a like a unified force among them all.
Yeah, basically that's like the yeah, exactly. Yeah, moving on. John Dorsey sent us $5 saying, I don't have a huge problem with helping out the evacuation because of how the Star Empire helped turn the tide of the Dominion War. I don't have a huge problem with it other than the fact that some of the survivors were like acting like Starfleet or the Federation really screwed them over. But no, they didn't. Any help there is voluntary. The Romans aren't going to sit back and be all pissy because help didn't come. Like, for instance, if something happened in the States, if, for instance, California got flooded or something, would Americans sit still and quiet and wait for the Russians and Chinese to come and bail them out? I don't think so. Because that is what we're talking about here.
Right.
That is the equivalent.
Well, yeah, and then they just had to have that so they could blame Picard for something. Everything in this show, like I said, every episode they have to have something they can blame Picard for.
So yeah, so I don't have a huge problem with it, but I have a problem with the Romulan response to it afterwards, which is completely nonsensical and what I would call senile, because it's some attempt at an old man's attempt at being relevant and moral, and it's just failing miserably. But that's just my opinion.
This whole show feels like Patrick Stewart came in and said, I want to make a Western, and I want to make a show that's kind of like this, and I don't want to do anything like Star Trek, and I want to be an action hero, and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, sure. And they just wrote it all down.
Yeah, and of course, and then you had the bad robot people who were like, yeah, there has to be bad robots and secret hideouts, because that's what we're all about.
And like they'll do the things like they'll have him say engage and all that stuff, but he never does the Picard maneuver, which is the tucking of the shirt to make sure it's all adjusted. There's no like they just kind of just gloss over some of the things of what Picard is. He doesn't have the right posture. He doesn't have the right commanding voice. He is literally a poor copy of the actual character, made a real poor copy of the actual character by the end of the series.
That's actually one thing that annoyed me a little bit, come to think of it, because towards the end he has like this pointless dream sequence simulation with the reconstructed memories of Data. So basically then you have the copy of Picard having a copy or a conversation with the copy of Data, and Data is perfectly happy to have died, to have rescued Picard. But then he should have asked him, what did you do with the extra years that I bought you of your life? What did you do with them? That would have been a good question.
And then he's like, kill me, so they pull out the 3 big USB. That really bothered. The 3 big USB things, basically.
Yeah.
But Mr. H was right. Like, that doesn't kill him. The cell is still there.
No, it's still there.
Yeah. Just put them right back in again.
Tom, you should be the one saying this. What did you do with the extra years? I sat around and got drunk and fed my dog. That's what. Yeah.
Old man Picard.
I dreamed of you, Data. That's what I did.
I dreamed of you and boobies.
I dream of Data. Gina,
yeah, I
move
dream
over.
of Data.
I dream of Data. Oh, man. You could do a cartoon opening for that. Just like the original series.
Would be something cool right there. Moving on. Drakels6 sent us $2 saying, Pertsman Drek lacks people of talent, it kills. That is a very astute observation right there. And Namcos sent us £2 thank you so much. Circle Jerk Picard. Also right on so many levels. And Rob, you better have the Mexican tribute ready, because we got another super chat from Mexican Iron Man.
Oh, let me cue it up. Here we go. And Ole! And
I'll drink a Corona just for you. Anyway, he sent us another $19.99. Thank you so much. Saying the dog, the vineyard, and the chateau would have been better taken care of by future Mexican staff versus these Romulan posers. Further, Lupita would never yell at her boss Picard because we got mad respect for white brothers and sisters. Hail. Yeah, I don't know what to say, but since you volunteer the future Mexicans to be the housemates and staff, why not? I'm sure they're going to do a great job at it.
Well, I think he's also playing off how he said that they were obviously
Immigrant staff.
immigrant stand-ins, yeah, and then of course they had the old Irish thing too, which was another aspect of it, and yeah,
which again is pointless because let's just continue this thing that, okay, California sinks into the bottom of the ocean. America doesn't need Russia and China to come to help. And I very much doubt that some Americans would come to my house and be my servants. Even if California would sink to the bottom.
California, okay. Screw those hippies, all right. Didn't
Hey,
vote for me.
hey now, I live in California.
That's what we need
They're
here.
not people, they're hippies.
I'm not a hippie.
If you live east of Otisburg, Anna, you'll be okay.
Otisburg.
It's a little place.
I don't even know what that is.
Otisburg.
It's a little bitty place. I thought it'd be fine.
Otisburg.
Okay, I'll wipe it off.
You Miss Tessmacher has got her own little place.
It's a Superman reference, Anna.
Well, I'm sure that there's plenty people with plenty common sense living in LA too, as Star Wars Girl is a very, very good proof of, right?
Well, I don't live in LA, so you're giving them way more benefit of the doubt.
Well, fine. California then.
California. Say it right.
Yeah. LA is the only part of California I've actually been to, which is something that I intend to address and fix as soon as this whole Chinese flu is past and we can start traveling again. So, yeah.
Yeah. We got a bunch of those of these distress alerts today about travel in my area, so it's not. I'm hoping it subsides sooner rather than later.
Yeah, personally, well, to begin with, I'd be happy to travel beyond between my house and the store, so that would be a good start. But yeah,
baby steps, right?
baby steps, and we'll cross.
Or to quote the show,
Atlantic.
one impossible thing at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Like the first thing we have to do is like now take the huge voyage to the undiscovered country of beyond the bus station. So
Yeah, and hey, Undoomed, how you doing? He says they rip off 2001 with the 3 USB sticks too.
yeah, that's true. That was Hal. Very good observation. I was thinking.
What are you
about.
doing, David?
And HAL, by the way, was reactivated in 2010, the sequel, both the book and the movie. So that's how efficient that was. Anyway, moving on. Master Clockwork sent us $2 saying, praise Babylon 5. I've never seen Babylon 5, but I hear good things about it. So yeah, sure, praise Babylon 5. You guys seen Babylon 5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen
Scattered
some
episodes
episodes
years ago, yeah.
And then episodes here and there.
It's like I don't want to talk about things that I like because I don't want the people in Hollywood to find out about them and get into them.
Oh, Babylon 5's protected, so we're okay there. But yeah, I totally understand that. Don't give them new ideas for remakes and reboots.
Well, no, people always ask, they're like, why don't you mention this in your videos? And I'm like, because they haven't talked about it yet. No one has acknowledged or like talked about doing a reboot. I do not want them to be aware of its existence.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it.
Okay, so mental note, do not talk about American Gothic and do not talk about Marshall Bravestar then.
There you go.
Damn it, we got to quit talking about Cobra Kai. Actually, I think those guys have got it pretty nailed down.
Yeah.
Which reminds me,
that should be
Anna,
debuting soon too, eh?
which reminds me, Anna, we've been talking too much about the Count of Monte Cristo because they're going to muck that up by doing it contemporary again.
No.
No. Do you know what studio is going to be doing it?
I don't recall right now. It's something that's in development. It was. If it's going to happen now with this whole viral thing going on, I wouldn't surprise me if that was one of the projects that went to hell. But there was a script for a contemporary Count of Monte Cristo, which
gonna make
is
Dantes
just about
gay,
the
aren't
last thing I want to see. Why would you want to do that story contemporary? What's the
Yeah,
fun with
that
that?
wouldn't make any sense in
Exactly,
today's day and age.
exactly. And Stephen Fry even wanted to do another contemporary Count of Monte Cristo set within the world of competitive tennis. This was years ago. Luckily, that never happened. Yeah, I kid you
Wait,
not.
what was
Look
that?
it up.
Contemporary tennis?
Yeah, like some tennis matches in university and drama or stuff like that, and some backstabbing and
A man gets put in prison for 20 years because he cheated on a tennis match, or he didn't cheat. It was planted that he was cheating.
oh right, I think it was like the second best at tennis had to get rid of the best in tennis, and then they went all Count of Monte Cristo to do it.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
I think it was something in like the British university environment or something like that. I don't remember the details. It was something stupid that thankfully never happened. Which just goes to show that no matter how brilliant you are, you can always have that one stupid idea, or many of them in the case of contemporary Star Trek.
All right.
Yeah, moving on. Lone Star sent us $5. Are they going to base the second season on the movie Cherry 2000, a movie about a guy who traveled to find his sex doll? Well, didn't they do that here already?
That's a better movie than Picard.
Because basically, I'm pretty sure that half of those androids that we saw there, as we said, they were like the sex dolls of Soong and Jordan Peterson.
Well, what else were they doing? Nothing. That one that died. I mean, why would you make an ignorant android like that? At least Data was intelligent, but he was just ignorant to like human emotion.
Yeah, but even he was fully functional.
Yes, that's true.
That's very true. And I just got to do this. Lone Star. Yeah, anyway.
Lone Star is my Han Solo.
Only one man would dare give me rest.
Raspberry.
That, by the way, is a huge proof of, or at least to me, proof of my hypothesis that Star Wars is something you have to get into as a kid, otherwise it's too late. Because Star Wars doesn't mean a thing to me. Like literally, I respect it, but I don't connect with it. It means nothing to me. Spaceballs, on the other hand, I saw that as a kid, and I freaking love it. If
I'm
I
gonna
had seen
have
Star
snotty-
Wars, then yeah.
Why didn't you watch Star Wars when you were a kid? If you watched Spaceballs, didn't your parents tell you, "Oh, this is based on Star Wars"?
No, they didn't.
Oh.
On the contrary, my mother told me that Star Wars kind of sucks. Don't waste time on that. So I didn't.
Oh.
And then and it was never on TV. You had to like rent it on VHS. And on the opportunities when I had to rent a movie that I wanted, I never really had like the desire to see Star Wars. Didn't interest me, in a way. And then when I had like the interest, was in conjunction with the re-releases. That's when I was like, oh yeah, everyone's always been talking about how great this stuff is. Maybe it's time I actually see these things. And by then it was just too late. Because then I was like in my late teens. And it was like, well, they had already been exceeded by many other derivative things. But still they were exceeded and they weren't all that anymore. And so I never got into it before it was too late. But however, Spaceballs, with the visuals and everything that was ripped right out of Star Wars, I absolutely loved it. So if I had seen Star Wars as a kid, I would have been instantly hooked. But that never happened, so I wasn't.
Missed opportunities.
Yeah.
At least you got Spaceballs, though.
Yeah, I will always have Spaceballs. So that's on proud display on my Blu-ray collection. So I love my Spaceballs. Anyway, moving on. The Wall sent us what? Something funny?
You love your Spaceballs. I'm glad I found it funny.
Yeah, well, you gotta laugh of it. And you know the funny thing is, since I'm not a native speaker either, there are like so many jokes and stuff that I only realized years later. That's like something funny that you'll never experience, that you'll never have. Because like there are so many things that I saw growing up, and then I kind of like got the gist of it. And then like years later when I think of it, suddenly like, oh shit, oh yeah, that's what they said. That's what that actually meant. Because I didn't fully get it at the time when I first saw it. And then I get it later. It's like, oh, whoa, mind-blowing experience. I don't know how many I've had of those. So that's like fun, rediscovering things. When you know what they're actually talking about, that does help.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid and I watched it, I didn't get the whole virgin alarm thing because I didn't know what that meant. And so when I watched a few years ago, I was like, oh my God, how did I not pick this up as a kid? Because I thought it
to go off before you do, mister. One of my always favorite ones was, I'll have Snotty bring you down. I don't know about this beaming thing. Then he beams and his head's on backwards. How did anybody tell me my ass was so big?
Oh, that was fantastic.
He's like, I'll have him beam you back and we'll try again. No, I'll just walk. It's quicker. He just comes into the next room.
And the latest such revelation is that to share this before we carry on, because I think it's like so funny. And that's in Beavis and Butthead, actually, with the great Cornholio, because we saw like this in the 90s. We had the MTV, so we had this, and how he wanted TP for his bunghole. And I was like wondering, what the hell is TP? And then when like the movie came and we got it like with Norwegian subtitles, the guy doing the subtitles, he didn't understand it either. So he translated it literally as TP, spelled out TIPAI, as like an Indian tent. So that only added to the confusion later on. And then it wasn't until years later when it came on Blu-ray and I saw it with English subtitles. And then it was like spelled out toilet paper. I was like, oh, so that's what TP is.
Right. And then I said, like in the newer episodes they did a couple years back, they actually have that one where they keep bringing him toilet paper. So maybe if you just saw that one, you'd have got the joke finally, been like, oh.
No, I did see that, but I actually had gotten the joke by that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you would have, I was going to say, that's what I was saying before that. But yeah.
But like to me, like TP, that was like one of the mysteries of my childhood. It's like, what the hell is TP? What the hell do they mean by that?
But I can't. Like, we have no bunghole.
Yeah, like Titicaca, that I could Google, but TP, or rather, I could find it on the map. But TP, what the hell is TP? Like, you're not going to find what that means in Norway anywhere in the 90s. Because we tend to spell stuff like that out. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Moving on. The Wall sent us $2 saying, I think I know how this series will end. Well, do share. And the Lost Jedi 22 sent us $5 saying they ran out of cash because they wasted it all doing stupid hollow display screens so the actors can wave their hands around like idiots. I don't even remember any hollow scenes, but there were probably too many of them.
I think he was referring to Soji when she's like trying to do all the holographic stuff.
Oh yeah,
more like she's pulling tissue out of a box as opposed to like pointing and doing stuff like Rios and Picard were. Like all those holographic interfaces. Yeah,
that's true. That's a nice way to waste money right there. This is true.
The Iron Man thing.
Yeah.
And Lost Jedi 22 sent us another $5 saying, how much did those pop-up holo ads cost at Space Vegas? They couldn't afford to do lightning on the planet of constant lightning.
Yep.
No, they had to do thunder sounds in the background.
And The Wall continued his previous super chat with how he thinks the series will end by saying, or rather he actually he clarified saying, the Romulan fleet will encroach on Earth. Then Captain Picard or somebody else will pull a Star Wars and return with a huge fleet of mishmash ships. Well, that was a pretty good guess. And then he continued that with another $2 super chat saying, I should have said how it was supposed to end. Well, that's pretty much what we got, wasn't it? And
Not far from it.
Yeah, and then Ian Slater sent us $2. Oh, this one is for you, Script Doctor, because you already kind of commented on this. Hey, folks, was Riker in a repurposed disco bridge?
I'm very confident he was, Ian. It also would explain some of the additional reshoots that were going on in end of February of this year for over at Pinewood, Toronto. And yeah, I would not be surprised. And again, as pulled up earlier with the Facebook post with the actor, she was originally the leader of that armada in the first cut, and they reshot it with Riker. And if they were to do that, it would have happened either very late last summer or it would have to have happened here in Canada, because they didn't. It would be too expensive to ship a chair to the sets in LA, and also it'd be just as equally expensive to rebuild one there as well. So they might as well. It would probably be.
They probably filmed it when he was directing an episode.
Exactly, they most likely filmed it when he was
because
directing
when
an
we saw
episode.
him at Las Vegas, he said he had only filmed one scene with Picard, and he had already directed his 2 episodes. So at that point in August, they had only gotten that far.
Yeah, exactly. So if that's the case, then yeah, after the new year, they probably grabbed him for a half hour, and they mailed some costumes for some extras and him to go on set and do his lines.
Yeah. Probably. And then
Mecca says he was directing in February in Toronto, so there you go.
Yeah, there you go. That would explain it. And then Sephir Chan sent us $10 saying, thank God Deep Space Nine hasn't been defiled by Abrams, Kurtzman and the others. Please stay healthy, everyone. Purify your brains with that. Well, thank you so much. And yes, everyone listening, also stay healthy. Take care of yourself in these trying of times.
Indeed. You know what the upside of this whole thing is, though? It makes all the Next Generation movies that much better now. As bad as they
Yeah.
I at least, you know what? After this, I'm like, you know what? I'd rather watch Generations and all that shit instead of this.
This is actually true. I never liked any of the Next Generation movies, with the exception of First Contact, obviously. But yeah, they're all, even Insurrection, which I thought was so unbelievably boring and stupid and pointless, they're all better than this. Not much better, mind you, but better.
I'm trying to look on the bright side. They say we're nothing but doom and gloom here. You even say it in the videos yourselves.
We're not doom and gloom. Give us something nice to talk about and we will. Moving on. Random Stuff Inc. sent us $4.99. Anime and video games are suffering similar hardships as bigger franchises like Star Trek and Star Wars. Here's to shared hope for a bright future for all. Yes, I'll drink to that. I'll drink a Corona to that. You hear that, YouTube? Beer. I was talking about the beer. Jimmy
And
Olsen.
we're cut off.
Yeah,
No, just kidding.
Yeah, that would be the second time that happened. Jimmy Olsen Blues sent us $2 sharp. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Oh, well, we love every single one of you as well. And then the Big Red Bear sent us another 20 Canadian dollars to clarify his earlier super chat about Mass Effect 3 that none of us knew too well. Here he says, Mass Effect 3 had an alien AI from the ancient past called the Reapers, who came back to the galaxy every so often to purge organic life. Oh, well, there you go. Lesser AIs would worship them. The conflict was shown to be inevitable and recurring. I agree.
There you go.
There
and
you
Rob,
go.
we got some Canadian cash. What do we do with that?
We got Canadian cash. That means we do this.
That's it.
I don't even want to know.
You don't know what that's from?
No?
It's Bob and Doug McKenzie. It was a sketch of from Second City Television.
And then they got their own movie, Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas.
Yeah, called Strange Brew.
I think they even had a short-lived cartoon show as well.
Yeah, I think so. Well, at least there's like one episode on the DVD or whatever. I know that.
I've never heard of it. But, yeah.
You'd get a kick out of it, I think.
Well, I love Due South, so maybe. Anyway, Darian217 sent us $10 saying, thank you for making a critical, entertaining review of a horrible show. Enjoy the channel and shows. Thank you. And thank you for watching, Darian. And thanks to everyone else for watching as well. And CC Atani28, and I probably botched how that is to be pronounced, for which I apologize, sent us $2. Can you guys react to a video I sent via Facebook? We probably can towards the end here if Tom can find it for us.
I checked it out. The only fear I have is us getting a copyright claim because it is footage from Picard. So.
Oh, okay.
We could. I don't know.
Well,
the way it's edited, we might get away with it, but I don't know.
We can react to it, but maybe we cannot show what we're reacting to in the video. But I'm sure that we can see it privately off without sharing it. I'm sure that can be arranged. Towards the end here. And then Diego Flores sent us 50 Pen S. I'm not entirely sure which currency that is on top of my head, but thank you anyway. My theory of why Star Wars stuck is because it is fantasy. My proof is how I try to present my girlfriend Star Wars. She loved it. Presented her 40k. Not so much, and I didn't talk about Slanesh. Also, Mel Brooks is a genius. Mel Brooks is absolutely a genius. Warhammer, I don't really know. Star Wars is fantasy, and that's going to be limiting to some people. I know it's limiting to me, for instance. But so, yeah, you're probably onto something there. And then Cal Clay sent us 5 Canadian dollars, saying, finished STD again, and Picard swears more, plus Sahian Queen makes Mike speechless with one line, and she learned her skills, no Mary Sue. Mr. H, when next Crystal episode?
When's the next Crystal episode? Possibly this weekend, actually, to be fair. I have been a bit lax on that. They've been held off for probably about 2-3 weeks now. Just been really caught up with all of the Doom stuff and obviously the Corona-chan. But yes, probably this weekend. Sorry.
Excellent. Mr. H, here's a chance for a plug. What is your Crystal coverage?
Well, some people like it, some people don't. It's I've been doing it just for fun. The Power of the Dark Crystal is the unmade sequel to Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal, the original, not the Netflix prequel series.
I love The Dark Crystal.
Yeah, so I was just doing I do complete narration sometimes, complete stories. So just running through the comic basically, just doing a 12-part read through. So
cool.
Everyone should check that out because Mr. H is an excellent narrator, I have to say.
Well, thank you. It's I appreciate that. The story, it's a weird. I'm not going to spoil anything. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it's it's weird to think that part of that was what Jim Henson thought of. Yeah. I don't know. I like it and I dislike it. It's very interesting. Put it that way.
That sounds intriguing, so do check that out.
So it was a sequel then.
Yeah, an unmade sequel.
Cool.
Excellent. And with that, we're actually caught up on Super Chats.
Did we miss one from... Oh, what was the name here? Sorry. Random Stuff Inc.
No, provided he only sent one, we didn't miss it. He was asking about, or basically saying that anime and video games are suffering similar hardships as Star Trek and Star Wars. So that's not missed. I think maybe it might have been that we were just way behind on schedule, and could have been a huge lag in time between he sent it and we got to it. Unless he sent an earlier one. I'm just going to go and check.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'd refresh just to make sure, because I know we've gotten a couple here.
Yeah, I've refreshed multiple times, and no, I cannot see that we've missed anyone. But if I'm wrong, then do let me know.
Well, we got Nelson Sharetta right now. $2. Andre, a Conan fan, should have no issue with fantasy.
Yeah, but it's a matter of which kind of fantasy. And I like my fantasy to be low fantasy, like Conan. And also Conan is like more, I consider it to be more sword and sorcery than fantasy. But that's just me.
And you did get the one from Diego Flores?
I believe I did. That name does sound familiar.
But
let's see.
Theory of Star Wars stuck is because it's fantasy. My proof is how. Yeah, I think you did.
Yes,
Sorry.
Yes, I did.
All right, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
just double check.
No. Oh, it's much better to double check and triple check and quadruple check than we actually miss one.
Exactly.
So there's no checking too much. Yeah.
Other than that, I think we've pretty much covered anything, unless anybody else had anything to add to the proceedings as far as Picard goes, or any other news going on.
Clay had something to add to proceedings, namely $5 Canadian, saying, "Blame Pat S. This feels like blunt talk Star Trek. Opinions of these anime shows. MTV The Head, Onizuka, and Fave Cyber 6 Good Hodder is the Loved Ones."
Oh, The Head was alright.
Oh man, I remember those. Those are from the early to mid 90s,
yeah,
right?
I'm trying to remember Onizuka. I know the name. I'm trying to remember the show.
Cyber 6, I think.
Yeah.
That's the one. I think that's one where a woman pretends to be a guy, like a woman superhero pretends to be a guy, like in her secret identity.
That stuff never made it to Europe because I never heard of a single one of those things.
It was around the same time Beavis and Butthead started. Because I think both, if I'm not mistaken, The Head and Beavis and Butthead both premiered on Liquid Television. They were just like, Liquid Television was just like an amalgam of a bunch of different weird animated stuff. So it would be hard to say what would make it over there necessarily.
Yeah, no, we got Beavis and Butthead, we got Daria, and we got Aeon Flux.
Yeah, Aeon Flux.
I was gonna say I could see like stuff from Liquid Television probably being a pain in the ass to probably clear all that crap to take it over there. That's probably a big pain in the ass, I can imagine. So that's probably why.
Yeah.
Because you have a ton of different animators and all that kind of crap that you'd have to clear stuff through.
I don't know the details of that, but all I know it never made it through MTV Europe.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Cool and all. Yeah. And then Stephanie Littlepage said that I missed a super chat, and the only one that I see from her is one we said before, $5. About the only thing I liked about Picard was Santiago Cabrera as Rios.
Yeah.
I agree.
We got that one.
We got that one. Yeah.
I don't see another one. I don't. I see one from yesterday. We can do a rerun of that one for the Star Wars thing. Our local not-for-profit theater is still selling tickets, but instead of going to the theater, you're sent a link to the movie you choose. Yeah, that's something, I guess.
That's weird.
Yeah, but that's the only super chats that I've gotten from Stephanie Littlepage. Cannot see that I've missed any. If you have, then we haven't gotten it.
All right. Well, hopefully we didn't miss anything else.
Hopefully
so other than
not.
that, did we have anything else to talk about today?
How is everyone holding up in these strange new times? Anna, I haven't heard from you. How are things in your end?
Like life with the beer virus?
With life and life with Chinese flu and all those things. How are you holding up?
Well, I mean, I was already a hermit. I rarely leave my property unless like I run out of food. So just the fact that like the food that I usually eat is not there because people are going crazy, that's kind of irritating, but my life hasn't changed too much. But watching Picard makes it a lot painfuler.
Yeah, as if the virus wasn't enough.
I know, right?
Yeah. Mr. H, how about you? How are things over in the UK?
Yeah, we're all on lockdown at the moment. We're not allowed to leave for any reason, basically. So
you can even go to the grocery store?
No, you can go to the grocery store, but I mean, like, there's queues, a mile or whatever it is long. Like, it's insane. So everything's shut, everything's closed. You're only allowed out to do like one form of exercise. There's no gyms open. It's pretty balls, to be honest. It's not fun.
Can you walk your dogs?
Yeah, I can walk. You can. I mean, our police system over here is quite lax, really. So it's not on super lockdown. But the thing is that it's about being sensible, isn't it? I mean, shouldn't really be going out that much when there's. I mean, the thing is in the UK there's a lot of young people that have been dying from it as well. There's an 18-year-old that's died. There's a 21-year-old that's died. In fact, just up the road from me. So really, just trying to be as careful as possible because I get the other people that keep the whole freedom this and freedom that nonsense and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't want to die. It's pretty a nasty virus that is killing people. So it's boring as fuck, but it's a needs-must scenario, it seems.
Well, basically, we've got the plague again. That's kind of like what's going on.
Yeah, I think what's fascinating about this, and if you stop and actually think about it for 1 second, is that we're living in a moment that will be remembered as a huge historical milestone. We are in the midst of history this will go down for 100 years to come.
Oh, absolutely. This is something that people need to understand.
The magnitude. Yeah, it's just the magnitude of it is absolutely massive.
Things are not going to go back to how they were when this is done. We're going to be starting a new normal, but it's not going to be like it was before. Everything is going to be different.
Well, yeah, top it all off with the economy as well, because the economy is pretty.
That is what
smashed into oblivion.
That is what has me worried the most, because we're going to be heading into
recession. It's a world recession, isn't it? Really?
No. Recession doesn't even begin to cover it. This is going to be worse than the fucking depression of the 30s. I'm least worried for the States. But for Europe, I'm scared shitless.
Europe, massive. Europe's probably going to disband as a result of all of this. Have you seen the utter bickering nonsense between the EU?
Yeah,
it's absolutely falling apart. Did you? France, I think it was France, even stole a bunch of face masks that the UK were trying to import.
Yes, they did. They confiscated them.
What a bunch of cunts!
They confiscated them on the border.
Douchebags. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, well, this
just paid for them. Fucking ship them in.
Yeah, well, the French needed them, and they got to stick it to the UK in the process.
The French needed them. Oh, it's all right then. Well, I'll go rob some motherfucker just because I need it. Like, what a disgusting mentality.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fucking hell. But yeah,
And
shocker.
also-
How about you though? How are you holding up?
Well, I'm okay. The stores are all well stocked and everything. We're all on lockdown as well. We're allowed to leave the house to go to the store, but that's pretty much it. And the stores are fully stocked. We have everything. So guys, if you are in need of toilet paper and you want some prime Norwegian 3-layer toilet paper, you're not going to need it. But if you do, then just super chat me enough and I'll sort you out. Don't worry about it. I'll even send you some Norwegian stuff away. So yeah,
absolutely.
no, the supermarkets are all fully stocked, so it's all fine. But we're all locked in. The schools are closed. The kindergartens are closed. Everyone is working from home. What that means to me is that I have my full-time job that I have to do from home, which means that everything takes 3 times as long. And my wife also has to from home. And the kindergartens are closed, which means that our 2 kids under the age of 5, because they're both under 5, they demand attention absolutely all the time. And they compete for that attention, and it's very difficult to get anything done. And time just kind of flies, and you're all locked in, and it's not ideal, but it could be worse.
Well, it could be. I mean, yeah.
And we're well stocked.
Could be a statistic, couldn't you? Quite frankly.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the worst scenario.
Exactly. We're all healthy, and for all we know, I might have it, because I have like this cold that is like stuck in my. I'm slightly congested, basically. Which could be a normal cold because it's flu season, but then again, it might be this
seasonal flu, isn't it? That's the time of year for it all as well.
Exactly. But at my job though, there's 3 confirmed cases at my job, and one of those 3 cases, he's in hospital. He was in hospital for a while. He didn't need respirator, but his wife did, and he was 50, or he is 50. He actually got diagnosed on his 50th birthday. Which topped that for a 50th birthday present.
Is his wife okay? Because normally they say if you go on a respirator, you won't come off.
She's not okay. She's in hospital. She's no longer in respirator. But basically, he's had like fever going for like 2 weeks now, and she, I don't really know. But when she's in hospital, she's obviously not perfectly fine, although she is recovering apparently. Slowly. So, and Norway isn't too badly hit. I saw someone in the comments asking about Sweden. Let's see if I can find that again. Don Henry asks, Andre, how is Sweden avoiding the virus? They are not avoiding the virus. Not at all. They're getting sick. Really sick. Loads of them. Because I think the numbers, because the thing with the virus is that so many people have it that aren't confirmed positive, so no one really knows how many infected there are. Like there could be 50 million infected in the States right now, this moment, that don't have any symptoms. Like you could all have it, hypothetically, without knowing it. So what you rather want to look at is how many people are in hospital in need of ventilation, or like being connected to a ventilator is what I'm trying to say, and how many people are dead per 100,000 capita. Those are numbers that actually make a difference. And in the States and in Norway, of course, the numbers are different because of the size and population. But basically in both Norway and the States, and in Germany and many other places in Northern Europe, it's around 3 to 4 dead per 100,000. Whereas in Sweden, it's 8 or 9. So they have twice as many cases as Norway, adjusted for population, meaning in actual numbers, they have like 4 or 5 times as many dead. So they're not avoiding it. They're really not. So far, they had like the similar strategy to what the UK had, which was basically go out, live normal, and you'll all get sick, and then you get herd immunity, and it's going to be fine. Well, they're moving away from that now because their health system is getting too strained, and the Swedish economy was an absolute shambles to begin with. So yeah, basically America's going to be fine from this, all depending on who you choose to run the country following the next election, of course. But Europe, I'm worried about, because Europe has nowhere left to grow, and we don't have any politicians that want to do something about supply chains and like take production back. Well, we have some, but we don't have enough, and without that, the economy isn't going to recover.
Well, they can't even. The EU can't even agree on their budget to for aid. How they're going to bail anyone out? They can't. They can't agree on anything currently.
This is the ultimate failure of
They've
the
had
EU.
to disband to do localized governing again, which shows that the project as a whole is a complete failure.
Yes,
in its absolute time where it is, really required, it falls apart completely, and it has to go to, local governing powers to decide what they're doing. It's just, it's a shambles. It's a total shambles.
Absolutely. This is the absolute fail of the EU and the current economic model, where you rely so much on supply chain for production of vital goods, which we now see how vital are, that are produced elsewhere in the world, and it's a complete and total collapse of that. And now we see. So if something good came from it, it's just highlighting that it was all a house of cards waiting to collapse. And here came a huge test to the system, and so far it's failed. Again, to everyone listening in America, now we're just talking about European perspective right here. So in the States, you're fine. But in Europe, this is the end of the EU, I think.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it continues after this. Yeah. At the very least, there'll be many people leaving, or much civil unrest for sure.
And to tie it back to Star Trek Picard, because basically, Patrick Stewart said that this whole series was all about Trumpism and Brexit and how horrible those things were, and basically, as this show is collapsing, all the values that this is trying to promote are collapsing around it in real life. So, bad timing for the series.
Yeah, very bad timing. And also not understanding, I guess, what the EU was prior to what Brexit was trying to do.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the one thing that I guess that I hear from some of my friends out in that area is that they like the idea of strong alliances between the countries and all that other stuff, but it's when there's so much codependency that if one country doesn't pull its weight, everyone else kind of suffers that they're concerned about, and rightfully so. It's because it's all about autonomy and positive relations, and that's what should Star Trek actually kind of be about, is like autonomy and positive relationships with people and other cultures and whatnot.
Exactly. And that, by the way, that actually brings back, I said that our stores are fully stocked. That is a truth in need of some modification. Like all the daily stuff, we have everything. We have all the food, we have all the milk, we have all the water, we have that in our tap anyway. But what we don't have are the things that are produced not here but in China and in India, just like the case with sorry, one more time, it's getting late here.
Like
just
medical
like
supplies
what is the
and
case?
things?
Yes, just like what is the case in the States. We in Europe too, we don't develop anything for that on our own. We get everything imported. So what you can't get anymore, you can't get paracetamol, you can't get hand sanitizer, you can't get like medical supplies like those. Those are out, those are gone, because that's something we cannot produce locally, and it's not imported from somewhere close. So we have no problems getting bananas from Spain. We have no problems getting avocados from South America. We have no problems getting our local meat and milk and those things. But with the stuff from China and India, which is pretty important stuff right now, that we're not getting, like everyone else. Or hand sanitizer. But to those looking for a good replacement, use dishwasher soap, because that has like fat dissolving soap, and that kills the virus too.
China's not getting any better either, by the way, everyone. You know, they said that they were getting better. They're not.
No.
Well, yeah, I know someone. Their relative works for a government aerospace company, and they've been sent out to do essentially imaging, satellite imaging of China, and they have to monitor it over China because there's a multinational monitor which has been put in place as our governments don't believe China's projections are either spread. so just on the down low, that's what's been happening as well.
Yeah, no, there are two countries that you cannot trust the numbers from, and that's China and Iran, because basically...
And Russia.
Yeah, probably many places, but especially those two, because apparently they are collapsing like flies in the streets in both of them.
Well, Iran
it's
built
just not reported.
a trench of corpses, which you can see from space, which is fucking insane. Anyone, you didn't see that?
No.
No, really? Is this news? Okay, well, Google it. The Corona Trench, Iran. There's a trench that you can see from space.
All right, let's see.
Yeah.
As of today, USA tops off the total cases, that I know. We now have over 100,000 in the U.S.
Well, it's because stupid teenagers are out licking toilet seats.
That too.
What?
There's some stupid challenge.
That's one of these challenges. Great. Can we have one where it's like cut your own head off challenge and get rid of these fucked?
I'll just call it the natural selection challenge when it comes to licking toilet seats.
Are you sure these are bodies?
Darwin experiments, right?
Yeah, no, they built those trenches for corpses from coronavirus. Yeah.
Because it looks like this is just farmland, and then they put.
It's a trench for corpses in Iran. Supposedly, that's.
Well, we're going to catch up on some super chats here. Cal Clay sent us a Canadian $2. Yes, people remember, please, trailer for loved ones. Then he followed up with, I've been trying to help this movie get better coverage. I watched it once 10 years ago and never forgot it. That's true horror. All right. Well, those who are looking for some good horror movies to watch while you're hunkered down, there you go. Namco sent us £2. Things in the UK are slow. Thanks, Boris. Well, there you go. And I'm sure there's a lot others around here could say to that compared to what I could. I don't know if Mr. H wants to comment at all or
what on
Boris.
I don't mind Boris, that's all. I'd rather him than a fucking communist. Let's put it that way.
And then his follow-up was with another £2, meaning the intervention should have been quicker. Well, I mean, a lot of places could, but I mean, there's only so much you can do, especially when you're not getting.
Well, the thing is,
told the truth by certain people.
Well, no one knew exactly what it is. Right? It's all coming from China, so it's a case of like, well, we do this, we do that, and it's difficult. It's a difficult situation because it's the same with every single business that's out there, right? No business wants to be the first one to close down because they don't want to be the first one to take an economic hit. Inevitably, everyone's going to have to take an economic hit, but no one wants to be the first. It's exactly the same with all the governments shutting down. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's handled it relatively all right. At least, like he's managed to keep a lot of the mass hysteria out of the way. Can you imagine if he said it from day one? Imagine all these, especially the dude that dropped the money because he's in the UK. He'll know this. All the people that panic buying, they're an absolute joke. Can you imagine if the hysteria was much higher from day one? Jesus, the UK would be a shitstorm. It'd be horrendous.
Well, and I think
it's bad enough as it is. Yeah. And it's been quite relaxed. God.
Well, and I said the misinformation I think is the biggest problem of all, probably.
I disagree with that, Because the misinformation is about the fact that we really don't have any information. And for that, we can thank the country where all of this started, because they didn't give us any information. So we had to start all
that's
over
kind of what I
again
was getting
from
at,
Europe.
without saying it.
Yeah. But there's not really been any misinformation. It's lack of information, period. It's like only now we're starting to get a picture, and there's still so many things that we don't know, because we used to have this theory that this is something that afflicts mostly the elderly and young people that have underlying conditions. Well, that may not be entirely true. Because now, as it turns out, you have plenty young people all over the place that are dropping like flies too. There's fewer of them, but it happens. You have like 20-year-olds that are perfectly fit, perfectly healthy, with no known underlying conditions, and they still die. It's not very often, but it happens. So here,
it happened literally just up the road from me.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the youngest we've had here in the U.S. is either 11 or 12 or something like that. But yeah, that could have changed. What was that, Anna?
Like a pregnant woman just had a baby, and so now it has it because she got
Yeah, I heard that too.
I don't think the baby died.
No. I said I think the youngest death we've had in the U.S. has been either 11 or 12-year-old. I think from what I read. From recollection, but I could even be wrong. So, again, from recollection, I don't recall exactly.
And also, that's only so far. Like this, how many different strains do you have of this? This is like the thing. This is something new. That's why it's novel. We don't know.
Well, and that's kind of what I got into a little bit of an argument with somebody, not to go down that path too far, but they were going down the whole, well, the flu is worse, this is worse, that is worse. So it's like, how do we know, though? We have no idea what the ramifications are.
The virulence of this is much worse than flu.
Yeah, and so I was saying, like, because the problem is where this originated, we have no answers from, we have gotten zero information out of it, and they got to be lying about their death toll, because Italy is got a crazy death toll in comparison, and so now we are learning other countries as well, day by day as well, sometimes hourly. I mean, look how fast it spread in the U.S. Again, it's crazy because we don't know anything yet. So, like I say, it's like I'm not arguing that maybe it's not, but at the same time, this is something that we've never obviously dealt with before. Even comparing it to the other versions of it that have been out there before, this is something. This is a much more aggressive version of this than we've ever dealt with in the past.
Yep. Well, not ever. I mean, Spanish flu was pretty bad, and
we don't know yet. But right.
And I still remember the Swedish flu, which is something that we had in 1987, 88. I don't
on a global level, though.
But no, that was like more localized. But
that's what I'm saying. I not in my lifetime. If we other than when we had SARS and the swine flu stuff, Yeah,
basically this is SARS 2.0.
And that's what I'm saying. This is unlike the version we've had before, so it could be even a lot worse than what we dealt with. We don't know yet until we actually start getting some solid numbers and solid, answers to what the hell's going on exactly. But yeah, Cal Clay sends us another Canadian $2. Estimated time until Rip and Tear is real. Doom's Slayer. I'm assuming that's a reference to Doom Slayer.
Doom Eternal, FYI, everyone in the chat is amazing. That's what you should be spending your Corona downtime on.
There you go.
Doom Eternal is fantastic. So good. It's honestly beats my expectations. I've been playing it on my channel. It's amazing.
A recommendation from Mr. H. There you go. You want to get the next one around, Dre?
Yeah, sure. Kil Rahi sent us $20 saying, I just want to say thank you for these. They're therapeutic. I recently realized I really don't say one more time. I recently realized I really don't say I'm a Star Trek fan anymore. I have to get very specific, and that's very sad. Thank you for not liking Trash Trek. Yeah, no, that's what we always say. Someone has to hold them accountable. And that's what we're doing right now.
And I don't really want to be thanked necessarily for not liking it, but I will take the thank you for being honest about our opinion. How's that?
Thank you for having good taste.
Yeah. Because I don't want to say, because we all have said it several times. We wanted this to be, especially this, to be good. I I mean, and we constantly get accused of going into these kind of things expecting or pre-planning to hate on it. And I don't like that narrative, because there's been several times where I've had to eat my own words and say, you know what, this wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be, etc. So I don't like, I don't like to think that anything's going to be bad going into it. I don't think anybody wants to live their life like that.
And the more tragic. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, those are the true Midnight's Edge moments, where there's something we go in expecting to hating, and we love it, or better yet, when we disagree. When, like, for instance, you and Rob, you have something that you hate, and then suddenly I come and I love it.
Mandalorian. Mandalorian.
Yeah, for instance.
I didn't hate Mandalorian. The first episode I didn't care for, but after I fell in love with Baby Yoda. I even got Baby Yoda shirts now, so.
Yeah, Baby Yoda.
Yeah, so yeah, that's one of those things, because the Star Wars fans on the panel, Tom and Rob, in the first episode, they were so against it. Me and Mr. H.
But I do get what he's saying, yeah. Because now, Empire Strikes Back used to be my favorite movie, my go-to favorite movie, but I've been so, beaten with this relationship with Star Wars, and I do this long editorial on it on After Dark, about how I felt like Star Wars I kind of had a breakup after The Last Jedi.
Yeah, we put that on the main channel.
You felt about Star Wars the way Luke Skywalker felt about Anakin when Vader told him he's his father.
I don't know if I didn't think we did. Whoa,
no, we did.
Okay. I thought it was just on Mead. But yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I understand where you're getting with Star Trek, because even now, if you asked me my top 5, I don't even know if I'd put Empire in there now. I mean, it's a great movie, don't get me wrong, but just the whole idea of Star Wars has been just it's
been retroactively soiled.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Without sounding like, oh, it ruined my childhood, because it didn't ruin my childhood. My memories of Star Wars are still there. My joys of Star Wars are always going to be there, and all that kind of crap. But just ever since the special editions, it's been a very volatile relationship with Star Wars. So.
Yeah, it's that your past with Star Wars is there. It's your current with Star Wars that's no longer there.
Pretty much. And I don't know if we ended up skipping one between this, because my thing bumped ahead, but we had that $20 one we just got through, and then I got this one next. This is what I have next anyway.
Yeah, well, we have quite a few. I don't know how many super chats you managed to go through.
The last one I just did was the $20 one that we just read was a Star Trek one from what was the name on it? I apologize.
Keel Rahi?
Yeah, Keel Rahi. Okay, yeah.
There it is.
And
okay,
then,
yep.
Yeah, and then you had Cal Clay before that, and you had 2 from Namcos.
I think we got those, yes.
Yeah, and 2 from Cal Clay before that.
Okay, the one we left off on was Kilrahi.
Yeah, I know that. I'm talking about before then.
Yeah, we got all the ones before that.
Oh, that's fine.
Then. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we continue with Diego Flores, who sent us another 20 Pen S, which I still have to look up exactly which currency is. Movie theaters and comic book stores are most likely gone after this. What other entertainment industry do you think will also disappear by the end of this? I would like a perspective out of the entire panel, if possible. Okay, Script Doctor, let's begin with you. What aspects of the entertainment industry do you think will not recover?
That's a good question. I mean, it's not just comic book stores that are closing down. Actual bookstores, at least in my area of Canada, are also closing down. It's been already difficult enough for those stores to compete with the likes of Amazon. And they're. I mean, I'm in the publishing world. Like the last year, we haven't been pushing through as many books as we normally do. Not for like actual stores. So it's mostly digital stuff right now. So that might be the first thing to fall in line along with. I mean, I don't think movie theaters are going to vanish entirely. They might just be a boutique type of thing. But it looks like the comic book stores are going to have a very difficult time operating with newer material. They might have to be kind of like archived stores where they only sell back issues of people who want things of that nature. But I also think the bookstores, sadly, are going to be suffering just as equally.
Anna, what do you think is not going to be here by the end of it?
Well, I don't necessarily think everything's just gonna be like Thanos and snap away. I think they're gonna close the ones that aren't making a lot, and then keep the one, just their flagship locations open that do bring in a good amount of income. So it could be one of those situations where out of 100,000 stores, they close 90,000 and just keep, the 10,000 that make the most money open.
Mr. H?
With respect to the entertainment industry and things like that.
Which parts of the entertainment industry do you think is not going to recover from this?
I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, a lot of the productions have been put on hold. I don't think it'll be a case of studios and things like that will face the brunt of it. I think, sadly, it'll be a lot of the workers that will be facing a lot of the immediate and long-term effects, being out of work or being made redundant because the studio has to make cuts. But I don't think the studio, or studios, should I say, will ultimately take a massive issue. Comic book stores are on the way out anyway. You only have to look at the shit that Marvel is producing to figure that out.
Right.
Oh, you mean Space and Snowflake?
No, they made one worse than that. Did you not see Children of the Atom?
Yeah, I seen them.
Fucking hell. It's such a joke. Like, just, can you not come out with anything original anymore? You need to make something for Zoomers. Shut up. Anyway, so I just think, ultimately, I think it'll be, it'll just be the low lackeys, unfortunately, that will be taking the hit of it all.
Rob?
Yes. I don't know. I don't know what more can add. As I said, there's a lot of people are going to get affected by it. I'm going to be surprised. Well, hopefully my regular bar is going to be there. I mean, not to mention all the bars and restaurants and all the other local stuff. That's my local bakery's still going. That's good.
Oh,
but you're going to have a lot of places. I heard somebody say actually there's going to be 3 retailers left by the time this is all done: Walmart, Costco, and Amazon.
And Target.
Like, yeah, it sounds about right. Well, Target, yeah.
Because we don't really have Walmarts where I live. It's mostly all Targets.
Count your blessings. I can't stand Walmart. Walmart is like locusts.
I prefer Walmart to Target. We can switch.
Right.
Maybe you'll get the opportunity. Tom?
Well, we did a video about this yesterday that I think kind of expresses basically what Script Doctor was kind of saying too, in that the theaters are probably not going to get hurt nearly as much. Now, comic book stores were already, like Mr. H said, on their way to the boneyard, and this is not going to help. This is going to expedite that because most comic book stores are mom and pop shops, and that's going to be the same thing with the theaters. As outside of small town theaters, those are the ones that are going to hurt the most. The other ones are owned by big corporations, so they're fine. And just like in the movie industry, it's going to be the little workers that are going to get hurt. But Rob did a story the other night that kind of gave us a little bit of hope as far as that goes, where a theater, I don't know if it was the owner or the manager, was selling popcorn at the curbside to pay his employees.
Yep, it was the owner.
So that was probably a mom and pop theater, is my guess. So you never know. There's people who might come up with some innovative ways to get through this. The entertainment industry, though, I don't think is going to take that much of a sock to the jaw. Like we said in the opening of our video yesterday, don't expect anytime soon to be able to cozy up with some popcorn and watch Black Widow or Fast and the Furious or Wonder Woman or anything like that. It's not going to happen. The theaters have made it clear that if they do jump to that point, then it's not going to bode well. And the only way it would get to that point is if this really drags on through like the fall months, and then maybe, just maybe, they'd have to work out some deals. What do you think, Andre?
I agree with several of you. I agree with Mr. H and with you that it's going to be the mom and pop stores that are going to take the brunt of this. The big entertainment companies, they're going to be fine. The studios, they're going to be fine for the most part. They're going to take losses, but they have investors that's going to pull them through this. The ones that are really going to suffer in the entertainment industry, I think, are the mom and pop stores and the smaller production, not necessarily production companies, but like the relatively indies. And by
Right.
that I mean, like, for instance, those that do some kind of service. Like, for instance, you have like 2 or 3 people that have like a trailer cutting company or something.
Or
like
an independent effects company or something like that.
exactly, independent, like those stuff like that. The ones that are trying the American dream, that have started something of their own, and which don't have a corporate backing. They have like their own thing, and they've done well enough with that. They're screwed. That's what I think. They are the ones that are going to take the brunt of this in the entertainment industry. And the entertainment industry as a whole is going to be fine, because the jobs that they no longer can do, there's going to be like bigger companies that can take on those assignments instead. There's going to be the companies that can wait this out, that's going to get a rescue package. But then you have the smaller indies, and this is the same for the game industry and everything. They are the ones that are going to be suffering from this, is what I think.
I
And with
think the
that,
gaming
also-
industry is going to be fine from this.
Well, I don't know. You have like smaller indie studios there as well.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of that work is done independently by one or
Yeah,
two
this is true. They can work from
individuals,
home, so
and,
yeah,
and a lot of that stuff can be done. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like video games, I'm not so worried about.
Bad example. But
Yeah.
say for instance, then you have like a gaffer or something that went corporate.
Yeah, well, like
you
a,
have,
yeah,
1 or
like
2 people.
some
Yeah,
kind
stuff
of
like that.
department like that isn't in some kind. I don't know what there would be for, like, if they're in some kind of guild or not. I don't know. Script Doctor can answer that better or not, but
But I think anyway.
Well,
I
like,
think
yeah, there
that's
are
where,
unions for the
supplements-
effects and everything like that. There's like IATSE and ETSI up here in Canada. There's the cinematographers union in
so basically,
California.
what parts of the entertainment industry don't exactly have any protection like that is basically, I guess, the real ones that'd be in trouble.
It's anyone that's not. It's anyone that's working that's trying to get into the union that's going to be out there. So anyone starting out first and not able to get those hours for insurance and benefits. So as you're saying, like small compositing special effects companies, music recording companies that do digital soundtracks for films, all sorts of editing people, some cinematographers that are just starting out, sound operators, key grips, electrics, truck drivers. There's a lot of list of people who they're very valuable, but they are also at the same time kind of low on the totem pole overall, which means like the operations can still run without them, but they shouldn't necessarily run without them at all. So yeah, it's going to be kind of weird. There will be some restructuring happening, and it will. I mean, it's delayed the WGA strike right now, but I think once things kind of get back to a more normal, socially interactive state, this is going to be used as a means to enact some change, and I hope it's very well thought out and meaningful change, as opposed to like a knee-jerk reaction of wanting more without any feasible means of achieving it.
Yeah. Moving on from that, Stephanie Littlepage sent us $2 saying, I could go for some of that 3-ply Norwegian TP. Yeah, hold that thought for when you run out of it there, then we'll talk. And then Cal Clay sent us $2 Canadian saying, all Rick celebs need 2 expensive trading places plot. I think you mean all rich celebs. Yeah, I think someone could absolutely benefit from that. And Adam Wofford sent us $2 saying they're looking towards a second wave of virus. Yeah, that's the thing. It's unknown.
I almost wonder if we're not in the second wave already.
No, I think you're still in the first one.
I don't know. We had a lot of people sick last winter, so.
Yeah, but that might have been normal seasonal flu.
Maybe.
That's
But we've
like the
seen how
scary
fast
thing
it
with this.
spreads. And that's kind of what I was bringing up the numbers for earlier, because,
Yeah.
we went from a couple thousand in a matter of a week or two to hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Like that's the thing. No one knows anything really. We'll just have to wait and see with that. And then Robert Bermias also sent us $2 saying Total cases has no relevance to percentage of population. Exactly, because total cases is unknown. No one knows the total cases. And Cal Clays also sent us $2 Canadian. New viral challenge. The happening building jump. Any takers?
That's the next thing.
Oh.
Pass.
Probably
Stargate.
his update.
I'm sure Tom will be back momentarily. Stargate 404 sent us $5 saying, Now I know where the budget for Picard went. Grey spray paint. Everything in Picard's mind room was grey. That's a great budget saving measure right there.
There is a lot of gray.
Yeah, there is.
Well, there was rumors that they kind of funneled some of that money to STD, but of course those are just rumors.
Just rumors, yep.
Just rumors.
I mean, sure, we've seen a couple of set pieces from STD, but again, just rumors.
Yeah, grain of salt and everything. And Adam Wofford sent us another $2 saying, also check out the Color Out of Space movie. Oh, I can't wait to see that one. Mr. H, you've seen that one and you love it, don't you?
Is that new Nicolas Cage
very
H.R. Lovecraft movie?
Lovecraft, yeah.
Yeah, good movie. Very good.
I can't wait to see it as soon as opportunity permits. And Underwater, I look forward to seeing that too.
That's a good one. The director's super nice dude as well. I interviewed him.
Yeah, I know. So everyone go check that out. So Underwater is a movie I really want to see. Mr. H, speaking of which, now in these viral times, what's gonna happen with the sequels to the Color Out of Space, the future Lovecraft universe movies?
I'd imagine that still happen. They'd already made money from distributors, so they'd made money anyway. Just by securing distribution rights. So I don't see why they won't.
Money.
Hey?
I just hope the distributors themselves made money.
I would imagine so.
There was a pretty good push for the video, I know that.
Yeah, the thing is as well, like I think if anything, what you'll see now is a lot of the indie studios, so the lower budget studios coming up, actually, because they'll have more. They will have more actual workable cash, right? They'll have more cash in the bank, as opposed to studios who kind of leverage name and equity and things like that more so than actual cash. I think you'll see a lot more of the likes of Spectrovision, which is the same guys who made the Color Out of Space. I think it'll be them, smaller studios that will come up more than anything.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And moving on with the super chats, Stargate 404 sent us $2 saying, hindsight is 2020. It's easy to criticize. And he followed that up with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. I was raising alarm bells in February. Everyone was saying I was an ist and phobe. They said flu was worse. Media lied to us. Now they're panicking. Yeah, well, the media wants you to panic too, so they can sell more newspapers and more clicks and stuff like that. So, yeah. I don't know if the media necessarily lied on this one, though, as much as they weren't informed themselves. And they certainly didn't do enough research, that's for damn certain. They certainly didn't in my country, but that's neither here nor there. And then Cal Clay sent us $2 Canadian saying, what happened with HIV med researched for vaccine? I have no clue. Not my field of expertise. Any one of you know?
I just remember hearing about they may have made some movement on it, but that was actually not even that long ago. So I'm sure they got to go through like testing phases and all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah, it typically takes
There's
a few
supposed to be
years.
several drugs in trials, but I haven't heard any more about it.
Not offhand, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
A couple of more in the meantime. Cal Clay sent another $2 Canadian. Think Mark Hamill remember his role in The Guyver?
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Yeah, he grew a mustache for that one. He'll remember it.
Not only that, he's a geek. He's a geek. He loves all the stuff he does, and I'm sure he loves telling stories about it. If you ask him about it, he'd probably light right up because it's probably not something he gets to talk about too often.
Yeah. Sister Harrow sent us $5 Australian. Big discussion here is to stop Chinese government coming in to buy assets. In trouble when, if the economy fails.
That's a good point.
That is a discussion you absolutely should be having, because that is reportedly one way that they seek influence. That is to buy loads of property and give loads of loans and stuff like that right now.
Kind of like they already do in Hollywood.
Exactly, and then they own you when something happens and they foreclose. Then yeah. So absolutely have that discussion and come out on top of it. Now would actually be a very, very good time to say that, you know what, we're going to charge you a little bit for all the problems that you've caused us. We're going to just like seize those things there if you cannot pay. That is absolutely something that I think is going to happen. That we're going to see some governments are going to take seizures or basically seize interests of the Chinese authorities in their local nation, I think, because of this thing, because there's going to be a reckoning, there's going to be hell to pay for this. Not every government is going to participate in it, but there's going to be enough that will want some kind of reimbursement for destroying their economy for something that the Chinese authorities could and should have prevented. So yes, good discussion. And then Cal Clay sent us another $2 Canadian. Is Riker's kid buried in soil that regenerates?
I believe that's the implication, but again, they left it hanging. I mean, it was...
We don't know what happened to him, but it would be kind of frightening if just a fist from the ground punches through and it's Thaddeus Riker alive after...
No, it'd be even better if they should have had Riker come up to him at the end and go, "Now, let's go fix Thaddeus," and then go to credits, because, you know, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, no, it was so pointless. Like, what was the point? What narrative purpose did it serve?
None. It served absolutely none, really, in the end, because everything that kind of happens throughout it, other than that this is why, evidently, they live on the buttfuck of Egypt, nowhere of space. That's the only thing I could see why. And that's a real thin, unless you come up with anything better, Script Doctor or Mr. H, that Star Wars girl, Rob, anybody?
No, I
can't come up with anything
for them to have. I don't see any logical reason for them to have introduced the Golem other than a last minute repurposing it for Picard.
Well, no, I think, or do you mean the death of Thaddeus? And why?
that was done for basically virtue signaling of saying how banning something that we fear as opposed to investigating the cause can lead to more death and destruction within our own society. I saw that as like an allegory to the old stem cell debate in the early 2000s.
Well, I was more equating it maybe like with, I ain't going to say the word, but yeah, that's probably close. I don't know what you think, Anna or Mr. H, but yeah.
Yeah, Anna, your take before I have to explode on that.
I'm blank. Who the heck is Thaddeus?
Thaddeus would have firstborn
son of Riker.
Yeah.
Didn't he name him John Luke though?
No. Not in this.
Did I miss that episode or something?
No, it was. Yeah, and he's named Thaddeus.
Jean-Luc was the alien boy pretending to be Riker's kid in that TNG.
Yeah, but I could have sworn that when she was showing him the room that. Okay, maybe I'm.
There was a picture of Jean-Luc holding him as a baby.
Yeah, but I could have sworn when they came into the house that she said it was John Luke and maybe Thaddeus was like the nickname.
I'm trying to remember what his middle name was. His middle name might have been after Picard, wasn't it?
Actually, his name was Thaddeus Troy-Riker.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, never mind then.
I completely misinterpreted that scene then. Or it was just my brain was exploding from how stupid that logic was, because you're telling me, and this is something that blew my mind when I watched it. I'm like, okay, you're telling me that these two people, Deanna Troi and Riker, some of the most determined people I've ever seen in a TV show, if their son got sick, okay, and synths are outlawed in the Federation, go to the Ferengi, go to Cardassian, go through the freaking wormhole and see, if there's some kind of cure somewhere else in the galaxy.
Well, not only that,
go to Dr. Sung.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just going to say this whole show is predicated on exactly why this show is stupid, because if
like break the rules. It's
Picard was willing to
child.
do it for some stranger that he thought might be the daughter of Data out of nowhere, why didn't he do the same thing for Riker? That's my biggest issue with this fucking show.
Why wouldn't Riker and Troy do that? If you're a parent, there's no way in
that too.
hell you're going to let your child die. If there's a cure out there, there's a possibility, which Deanna confirmed there was. I mean, I know myself, I don't care what laws I'm breaking. I'm not letting my child die. I will go onto the black market and try to find the cure for this. I'll do it myself.
Well, wasn't Riker always kind of more the maverick anyway in the show, from my recollection? Like, wouldn't he probably be more apt to do something like that before anybody else would, probably?
Yeah, so would Deanna.
Yeah.
Remember when she got impregnated?
Well, she's all
by
emotion,
that
yeah.
one thing, there's no way in hell they would have let their child die from something that could have been cured, that they knew there was a cure for.
Well, right.
Exactly.
I mean, any
they would have
parent...
gone to Baku. The people at Baku knew how to do positronic stuff. They were able to diagnose Data without actually looking at them. Like they're smart, so they could go there and have them build what they need. Or
Right.
I mean, when you have parents acquiesce to the laws
yeah.
of the state and sacrifice their child, that's horrible.
I was just going to say, that's the dumbest thing in the world I've ever heard. Because you ask any fucking parent alive right now, if you had to break the law to save your child's life, would you do it? You don't even have to ask, what the fuck do I have to do to break the law? You just say, okay, yes. And then you worry about the consequences later, because obviously the first thing on your mind is, oh shit, my kid's dying. What do I got to do to save them? You know?
Yeah.
And not only that, you've got Picard, who's way up in Starfleet and all this other shit, and all these other powerful friends that they have. How could they not have made this shit happen somehow? You know, it just, none of it makes any fucking sense in the end. And it's just the biggest kick in the nuts to me.
And then Deanna sitting there like glaring at Soji because she's technically one of the things that could have saved her son. It's
right.
Well, you could have, Lore's still out there. Go hunt down Lore and use his brain to save your damn child.
You've got B4. Sure,
I was just going to say that. But...
It's inferior model, but it should do the job, right? You got Geordi LaForge, who best friends of Data. He should know how to rig something up that could probably work.
And Geordi can figure out how to, save the Enterprise after that one malfunction on a holodeck. You could figure out how to save your freaking child, especially when you already know there is a solution to the problem.
And he was there on the set.
Yep.
Yeah,
no, but they just did this because they have to kill. They always have to kill a character off screen or something, and characters that die that are not shown on screen, it doesn't have the impact. It just doesn't.
Exactly. Speaking of, and on that point, Stargate 404 sent us $5 saying Julian Bashir's parents went to illegally genetic engineer him. They even said that genetic engineering is legal for corrected defects. Why not synths? Because that would make too much sense now, wouldn't it? But anyway, going back to what Script Doctor said
of course not.
About this thing basically being like a virtue signaling for like, ooh, stem cell research good, banning stem cell research bad. Again, this is exactly what I mean with this whole thing is so ham-fisted that they basically just lose everything that is of any kind of applicability or anything that can be applied to anything real world is just lost because of how stupid it is. Because there is no way that you can equate stem cell research to a positronic brain, because we have actual AI development right here. And you know what? You have people like the physics guy, what's his name again, the one in the wheelchair, it's like
Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, exactly. And even he is saying, guys, we really shouldn't be doing all this AI stuff because it's conjuring demons.
Yeah.
There's
the biggest
absolutely...
issue. Yeah.
Yeah,
the biggest issue with AI is it can't be programmed because it's going to have the same moral programming that the people who program it have, and that's not what you want.
Exactly. That's like the kind of like thing that any kind of like moral message that they want to get through is completely lost, because the examples that they choose to use are so ham-fisted and so out there and they just fall apart, and so does the entire series. So that just annoys me in that sense. Then I am left with, okay, so then the son died for absolutely no reason because you tried to say something stupid about stem cells.
Well, not just
you can't
that. Yeah.
do that with a positronic brain.
Well, that's just it. And it fundamentally falls apart because what parent is just going to go, well, honey, I'm sorry we couldn't do anything. The law is the law. It just doesn't. There's whole movies built on shit
especially
like
military
that.
officers that have resources to travel and move around. Like it's benign. Like, I mean, I can understand if, say, there was a form of type of poverty in the galaxy, and it was two characters that just could not, that would do everything they possibly could, steal, kill, whatever, but they just did not have the means to achieve that goal. And then they have to face the consequences of that. But this is not that's not an aspect of what Star Trek is. It's a post-scarce society. So you have these parents that should be doing everything in their power, and they have quite a lot of power and influence based on their careers and the respect they've earned, that this should not have been a problem to that resulted in this manner. It's also an idea that's way better than the show we got. I would much rather see a philosophical debate about, banning synthetic like AI technology and seeing how it has use to save people that are organic, and the lengths of parents like Riker and Troy would go to prove that point and show that we should do the research, but we should be responsible about it, and not just to ape off of like Jurassic Park. You spent so much time thinking about that you could do the idea, you didn't think about whether or not you should. So like
you patented it and you slapped it on a lunchbox, and now you're selling it.
Sold it.
I'll do you one better. Here's a pitch for an episode. Riker and Troy's son is sick. They need a positronic brain to catch him. They capture, or to heal him, they capture Lore. Is it right to kill Lore to save their son? Because that's what's going to happen to him if they save him. There you have something worthy of Star Trek. What we had in Picard was not worthy of Star Trek.
And the problem that still fundamentally falls on all of these things that we're talking about is still the thing that we started off this entire show with. And that is that this entire story arc could have been done in 1, maybe 2 episodes. That's the problem we have here. Is you didn't give us anything worth our time and the effort made to do this, and especially the effort of bringing Picard back to the screen with such fanfare.
Yeah, it was just a tragic waste, all of it.
And Cal Clay sent us another $2.
Yes, he did. He sent us 2 by 2 Canadian dollars. First he said RAM song, which I guess it's the end of the world as we know it. Plus, I'm in Calgary and tension is increasing. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that, but somebody clip that, because that's Andre singing for the first time ever.
No one clipped that. In fact, that is never to be replayed again.
Too late. Don't mean that.
Has anybody else seen this? Can we fast forward through this? We never watch this again? All right.
I'm just going to go with Mr. Coffee so I wake up here. And then we can go look at Mr. Radar. Or rather, we can look at
what the hell am I looking at?
Super Chat screen.
You're looking at now. Well,
anyway,
what was then?
The other super chat from Cal Clay is, as you said, Mr. H, AI like Clue are like its creator.
He's talking about my Tron Legacy review.
Yeah,
very true. Completely true.
Yeah,
Yes.
and also the brilliant aspect about the AI research is that you cannot program an artificial intelligence the way that it's defined. You can only create a simulated intelligence, and when you make a simulation, you're basing it off of patterns of behavior you're able to observe. And if the patterns of behavior are poor, that's what you're going to be simulating, and that's what's going to cause issues. Like our intelligence, for lack of a better analogy, is not really programmed. It's evolved from random mutations and things biological. Like, and if you want to do that artificially, it had to be done in a similar manner to be a byproduct of another type of engineering.
Yeah, I liked how they did it in season 1 of Westworld, where they had like this whole labyrinth of everything that has to like happen, and then as a byproduct of all of that misery, then consciousness might develop.
I kind of liked it, but it was just,
Yeah, like the
I
idea
still
was
haven't
bigger than
seen
what the
season
writers
2,
were able
but,
to do.
I've heard season 2 is horrible, but 3 has gotten
Yeah.
a little better.
Yeah, so I've heard too, but
I just
haven't
don't
got
feel
time
like
to see
dishing out
anything.
the money for HBO. Yeah, I got other problems. You know what I mean?
Westworld was a movie, and that's it.
And
Yes.
as far as I'm concerned, I agree with you, Anna. At this point, that TV show resembles the movie so little, they could have called it just about anything else but Westworld, and I would have been fine with
Michael
that.
Crichton invented the computer virus. I mean, that's what he did.
I mean, for those who don't know, Westworld is basically Jurassic Park with robots, okay? That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all
Before
it is.
Jurassic Park.
Before Jurassic Park. It just really, so.
Was it
And
a
it's
book or was it a screenplay by?
I think it was a book, or wasn't Westworld a book, and then Future World was just a screenplay, right? Or am I wrong?
Westworld was a book, then became a movie, then Future World was a screenplay, and I think
He
they
did
tried to
write
make
the
another
screenplay,
one.
though. Yeah. And then they were gonna make I believe it was based on the Knights. I think it was gonna be called either Medieval World or something like that. I can't remember what it was gonna be called.
Oh no, Roman World. There was a
Roman World. That's what it was. You're right. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah. But since Future World didn't do that well.
Well, that's what happens when you get the bad Fonda in there. Like it was not the talented Fonda. If Jane Fonda were in Future World, that would have been a hit.
We know, Joe Dar, there is no dinosaurs in Westworld, but it replaced the dinosaurs with AI. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then Cal Clay sent us another $2 Canadian. I swear he basically brought to you by Cal Clay today. Make AI play tic-tac-toe before you give it nukes. Right?
Oh,
Well, I think we
that's,
learned that from Terminator.
There's that, but oddly enough, when I was in high school, that was what you had to do. You had to program a computer to play tic-tac-toe with you, and that's why we learned why our AI, as defined in the community, is never going to be achieved that way, the way that we do it. And also,
Yeah.
you can easily beat tic-tac-toe.
Here's the funny thing about this. I have to bring this up. Mary said this before Itchy and Scratchy Land. There was a couple people. It was probably junior high, maybe high school. They were talking about that episode, and they're like, "Yeah, it's a ripoff of Jurassic Park." I'm like, "You idiots! It's a parody of Westworld, which is Jurassic Park before Westworld." They just looked at me like dumbfounded. You know, actually, Sketch Therapy. I'm surprised that it wasn't a spin-off, but I think at that time cloning technology had gotten in his head, so he probably just went that direction instead. But yeah.
Probably, but that's the thing, though, isn't it? You have so many times where the thing that's the original, it's like it's beaten to the punch by so many other things, and then when it eventually catches up, it's mistaken for something derivative. I mean, that's for instance the case of John Carter of Mars or the Princess of Mars stories. By the time the movie actually came out. Of course, it had huge problems of its own, but anyway, by then, all of the ideas and concepts that were so original and so unique had already been stripped mined by everything else, so that the original came across as derivative.
Yeah.
Stargate 404 sends us a $2 super chat. Says, "Tom, yo ho, a pirate's life for me." I can't condone that. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't tell others what to do, but if you do happen to do that. You may want to use a VPN, isn't that right, Andre?
Yes, that is absolutely right. So we do not condone you going to the high seas, but if you happen to be at the high seas anyway, then absolutely use a VPN. And then you might as well use a VPN from Surfshark. And remember to type in the code MIDNIGHT when ordering for a very special deal that very few others can match.
And we actually have used it, and it is a very good VPN from my
We wouldn't
experience.
push it if we didn't use it.
That's
Magical
right.
Bay of Pirates.
Yeah, they're out there.
Oh yeah, I highly recommend them when it's on your channel.
It's actually the best movie I've seen in theaters so far this year. Was actually a pirate movie about actual pirates.
Was it the documentary?
No, it was
Oh,
a
that's
Norwegian
right. Yeah,
movie.
he goes Stargate 404. No dinosaurs, but dragons. GOT was a park last episode. I seen the still from that there's a dragon in there. I'm like, what'd they do? Just rip off some of the CGI from Game of Thrones?
Yeah, they probably just copied and pasted. Yeah.
That's a
Oh,
trend
yeah.
now.
Probably.
Oh, well, we noticed that within Picard.
Yeah.
We talked about it last week. You weren't here, Andre, but I showed you those pictures before. They're actually got like stock photos and stuff and crap that they're using in these shows now. That's so bad. Of course, they
the
obviously pay
Shutterstock,
for
yeah.
this stuff. Yeah, the Shutterstock stuff, and you Google a dead fox, and the first thing that comes, or dead rotting fox or whatever, the first thing that comes up is the image that's from the episode and all that stuff. So they just had a random image they used or whatever.
And you can see how much they paid for it too.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
No. But yeah,
to go even further, the starships at the end, the Hull Armada, it's the same saucer and secondary hull, and they just change the nacelles every couple images.
They copied and paste.
Yep.
well, let's look at it this way. We know for a fact that a lot of this was probably filmed in February, so they were probably still working on the episode, but still, that gave them barely a month to get this done.
Well, also, it's like getting the entire Federation fleet there in a matter of hours. I mean, back when you watch The Next Gen, it would take weeks sometimes to even get the next.
Not in JJ's universe.
Not in JJ's. And I even did the math. If they wanted to travel, like, say Nepenthe is 25 light years away from the synth planet, that's a day at maximum warp. Like warp 9, like pushing the red line, which ships shouldn't be able to do. And so they have
that. They never talked about it again after that one episode, but the Starfleet, they put that block on how fast you can go. You can't go past warp 5 because how it was messing
damaging
with that
space.
very
Yeah.
thing. So they're just let's all do warp 10, guys. Let's all go to the synth planet all together. Instead of sending one representative from the Federation that can do the job, let's just send everyone. All right.
Yeah, I remember that episode. That was to sort of equate to car emissions. And yeah, I've met some.
I have registered your opinion, Spock, but decided I don't give a damn about it.
That's what JJ says.
Yeah,
And-
that's
and
what he
Kirsten.
says. But like, even I would say it's speculatively, this is what you'd have to do to sort of figure this out, which is Riker knows the planet's location because his daughter told Picard from that captain guy that we never saw on screen. So he knows where they're going. And so we learn in the next episode they're going to Deep Space 12 where a squadron's going to meet them. So if they're close to Deep Space 12, then they're relatively close to the planet, which means Riker could go there and be able to mass that armada and get back in like the 48-hour time clock that we're given at the beginning of episode 9. Which is still ridiculous. It's so convoluted and it's so Kurtzman and unimaginative, and it's trying to like say, oh, they have to like mirror or holographically replicate their ship thousands of times to distract the Romulans, so that the Federation will show up, and there's no guarantee that the Federation will show up, and then all of a sudden they do, and it's just a nightmare.
Well, you know what's stupid about that?
Convenience.
Because they did get hit at least once. And the one time they get hit, and once they realized it was probably a bunch of the same ship just multiplied, why didn't they just destroy that one ship? It's kind of like in Dumb and Dumber when he goes, "What if he shot you in the head?"
Yeah, exactly. And that was a chance the FBI were willing to take. And I'm like,
You know, it's like all they had to do was know which one to hit. You know,
Yep.
what movie was that? They did the same damn thing, and when they figured out which one it was, yeah. Anyway, Cal Clay sent us another $5, by the way, Andre.
Yeah. My work demoted 7-year management and dropped my insurance before this viral thing. So today I said, fuck it. I will give and laugh for the first time and share with my family later. Oh, well, we appreciate that.
There you go.
Thank you. Just to be sure to take care of yourself and your family first and foremost. Absolutely. Of course, we appreciate anything that you can give, but you have to think of your family and yourself first. Especially if you have someone to support, then always put that first. And then we'll be very happy to accept whatever scraps you have left over after that. But any help is always greatly appreciated. And with that, are we mostly caught up on Super
I think
Chats?
we're caught up on
we
the
are.
Super Chats now.
I think we are too. Anyone else have any final parting words about Star Trek Picard or the Chinese flu or anything at all?
That's stupid.
Well, like both of them, they've invaded our psyche, and they'll have lasting effects for a while, but we will eventually recover.
Yeah. Words to live by. Script Doctor, where can people find you? And you can say that after we address the super chat from Stargate 404, who sent us $2. Thank you so much. Wasn't the space damage from the Omega particle? Hell if I know. Anyone else?
That's from a Voyager episode.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what you guys were talking about with the whole. Yeah.
Well, there's two options.
There's a next gen episode with it.
Yeah, there's a corridor that's got frequent warp travel that's causing destabilization in space, and one of the scientists kills herself to prove it. And then there's the Omega particle in Voyager, which is what the Borg are seeking out because they call it pure perfection. And if it ever becomes unstable, it can cause an explosion that will prevent subspace in that area, so you can't travel through warp in that area. So if it ever gets out of hand, all warp travel in the galaxy could be eliminated.
I need to make a new version of that cartoon, and instead of saying I've registered your opinion, it should say that, like, my feelings don't care about your science. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice one. That's a nice
Something
one.
like that.
Yeah.
I should redo it, but we're finally done with this for a little while until frickin' STD starts.
What's the clock on FTD? How many weeks, months do we have to?
Well, they're editing from home, but it's still going to be possibly delayed a little bit, which means they haven't even announced when it's supposed to, which I don't really know why they told us it's delayed. That's the thing that never makes sense with their reporting, and why we kind of look at people funny when they try to say we make shit it's up. It's like, do you really look at this? They didn't have to say a damn word. They have not announced when this show is set to come out, just like Picard. But yet they still delayed it, and we were wrong and lied about that, of course. But they delayed it, you know. We made shit up, and the same thing here. It's like we've been saying, they went back for reshoots, and now they're saying it's going to be delayed because of all this stuff. Well, you never said when it was going to be on in the first place yet.
In the case of Picard, though, they did say late 2019, and we said no, probably not. And then they had to come back later and say early 2020.
And I think the problem is here the illusion was spring 2020, and I think it's going to move to summer or fall.
Yeah, probably fall.
And another one from Cal Clay. Right? I think you asked me that the other night. Wasn't it you, Script Doctor? You're like, has there been one season where they haven't had to restart or get delayed or do this?
They've had to push back release of every season. Even the mid-season break for season 1, they had to push that back as well.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Cal Clay sent another two Canadian dollars asking, thoughts this Picard is STD mirror universe future.
I fucking wish.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's Kelvin timeline at the best.
It's not even that. It's the prime timeline.
Oh right, yeah. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting the prime leads into Kelvin, and then there's the canon.
I mean, I guess you could look at it this way, like Sheldon Strahl said here. The whole 25% thing officially means this is all parallel universe canonically, and since the destruction of Mars happened and all that kind of stuff,
why everyone has lost their minds.
Yeah.
Well, if you lose 25% of your brain, you're not going to be functioning the same. So, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Well, and again, the 25% really only happens to matter when it comes to
merchandise.
Merchandise, anyway.
Through the production companies of Robot.
So since they're not getting any merchandising deals, they're really just doing this shit to be assholes in the end.
Yeah, there's a little bit more to it.
I know, but I'm just putting it
it's about merchandising. But
in terms that I can.
Yeah, that's the irony that there's no merchandising to be had because all the licensees basically said, "Screw you guys, we're going home till you give us something we can sell." And
you mean I can't go buy a Picard doll right now, and I can't go buy the Van Halen one?
Well, you can try. Good luck.
And every time we bring up that shit, and then somebody says, "Oh, there's merchandise," and then they slap up those stupid pop figures that aren't even out yet. That Mecca pointed out that if they don't get enough pre-sales, they ain't gonna make them.
And I think like even Eagle Moss,
they're very rare.
They're like made to order almost. I think.
A
lot of it is. Yeah.
They're cheaply 3D printed stuff, practically made to order.
And I've been in collectible stores and stuff, and I've seen tons of regular TNG Trek stuff. Nothing from Discovery and nothing from Picard.
I don't think there's anyone that wants to collect garbage.
Last time I was in London, I went by one of the two comic book retailers that are close to Leicester Square. One of them is the Forbidden Planet. The other one, I don't remember. I think it's Orbital Comics. Yeah, I think that might be it, Orbital. Anyway, I went in there, and there they actually had toys from the 2009 movie, Star Trek toys, and they were there on display. Like, they looked like something that was on display, just not for sale, but just for display. But no, they were for sale. They had a price tag and everything. They were just like 10 quid, something ridiculously cheap, and still they couldn't sell them. They were like collecting Duster for years. No one wanted them.
Yeah, you find those here at like thrift stores and stuff.
Yeah.
Still in the box. Because people didn't open it. They just got it and then, gave it to Goodwill.
Yeah, I'm gonna refrain the temptation of singing some Macklemore right about now.
Please do, and I'll have people clip it out.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm going to refrain from that temptation. But anyway, Script Doctor, where can people find you?
They can find me here with you guys, as well as on a YouTube channel I make called Script Doctor. So it's youtube.com/scriptdoctor. I'm also on Twitter at ScriptDoctorPhD. And once we're done here, I'm going to go back to cutting together my episode 9 and 10 an overall series review of Picard and try and get that out during the weekend, because I've got time to spare. But I also have to be responsible, because I do have a girlfriend that needs attention also. So,
very
very
important.
Not like that, but yes. So just bear with me, but it's coming out. A little bit like that.
Cal Clay sent us $2 real quick again. I have a bad dragon toy named Kurtzman Chibnall. I almost said chin balls.
It's a bad dragon. Very bad. That Star Wars girl, where can people find you?
You can find me at the channel That's Star Wars Girl. I also have a secondary channel I just started for my live streams and for me to re-upload my video games and stuff. So that's just That Star Wars Girl Live. And you can find me on Twitter at That Star Wars Girl. I am currently in the middle of a Twitter war with crazy people because they are upset that I left out the word bisexual from a treat about the whole scene with Seven and Raffi.
Okay, so everyone, That Star Wars Girl, Anna, is going to need some backing on Twitter.
Are they assuming?
Right about now, so...
Oh, no, they're like, bisexuals exist, and I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. Twitter only allows.
Yeah, but are they assuming that maybe Raffi didn't switch sides?
I guess.
They're just assuming that you're assuming that
they're assuming that I am not aware that bisexuals exist. And I also did a video about this that came out earlier today about how it doesn't make sense that Seven would out of nowhere just become bisexual or a lesbian when every single relationship she's ever had is with a man. She was married to a dude in the Borg dream world.
Matrix Zero, right?
Yeah, she made a holodeck program to simulate a relationship. Out of all the people that she could have picked, she picked Chakotay. Don't give me this BS.
I know. I'm just being facetious, but still.
Oh, I know. But so I've been arguing with these psychos all day, and it blows my mind how stupid people are. But yeah, so that's the kind of stuff you see on Twitter is me arguing with idiots.
Like I found though is the best thing to do is send them in circles. So like if you throw like the so you're assuming that she might not be blah 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 this there, and then it starts sending them. Well, I will,
Well, yeah, when you do their own tactics against them, which I do sometimes, because I always get accused of being a man because this is my avatar.
And what a man.
I know. Even though it's a drawing of me, apparently I'm a sexist, misogynistic man talking about Star Wars and Star Trek.
Does Peaches know?
I know.
Now you know how we feel.
Oh, yeah. But then I hit them back with I'm a woman and this is a drawing of me. And then they block me. So
Yeah.
it's fun to see people lose their minds sometimes because
Isn't it?
it's more entertaining than looking at like the reality of what the world is in. It's like, let me take my mind off of this and go look at this and see, well, maybe something good might come out of this. Maybe some Darwinism and, you know, thinning the herd might help in a way, but, you know, you never know.
Like Alfaris says, if Anna is a man, I think I'm gay. That's why I said, and what a man, yeah.
Well,
Mr.
yeah, I can actually support that because I got a little change here.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and my nipples are actually the missing avatar from StreamYard. So yeah.
And Joel Schumacher is proud.
Yeah. Well, it's getting
Give
chilly.
yourself a beard, and Alex Kurtzman might like you.
Oh
Right?
God.
Funny thing is that Mr. H kind of looks like that, only more impressive.
Right?
Oh, I know,
Mr.
Mr. H. When you came in and like during one of my Twitter wars, and you posted a picture of yourself, I was like, "That's what you look like! Holy shit!" Like, do you live at the gym? Like, how are you like holding up now that all the gyms are closed?
Yeah, I'm not too. I don't know, really. Like I've been training for years. My elbows and knees and shoulders are a little bit shot these days. So I mean, I could do with the rest, but I am getting quite irritated by it. To be fair, it's definitely incentive to get a home gym set up. But like it sounds really egotistical, but like it's just a fact. Having trained so long and you know to quite a high level to buy the equipment needed to train at home, you have to buy quite a damn lot of weights. So yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but I need to do something about it. So
Yeah. I just do the free weights, but I got an old set where I can just stack on more if I need to. I just do it to make sure I don't die of a heart attack.
yeah, I borderline give myself a heart attack lifting some of the weights I do. So.
Yeah, I tried to go to a gym once, and because I was doing sports, and they made us do that thing where you lay down and there's that bar above you that you have to lift up with the weights that guys do. I couldn't even lift the bar without any weights on it, so I don't know how you guys do that stuff.
That's a bench press, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing that you lay down and you lift things up. I don't know.
Yeah, bench press. Part of the powerlifting routine. It is part of the 3 main lifts. Bench press. If anyone's interested, I've got some bench press videos on my Instagram.
Ah.
If anyone's bothered, there you go.
I can lift a bag of cookies. That's what I can lift. That's about it.
A bag of cookies.
That is
Well, you can probably get a few reps in before the bag's empty, right?
Exactly, pumped from lifting the food up to the mouth.
Yep.
Exactly.
So, Mr. H, where can they find you, and got anything exciting on the horizon for us?
Well, I've got to say, I'm really disappointed that Andre didn't start singing "What a Man, What a Man" when everyone was saying "What a Man." So disappointed with that, Andre. I thought we were gonna be able to put together an Andre compilation album, but never mind.
Rob's been wanting to use that auto-tune for a while.
Well, I'll make up for it by dropping by your chat on or your live show on Monday. How about that?
Definitely. Good.
I actually have a free version, a sort of a free version of Autotune, and I was actually farting around with some of your audio clips, Andre, trying to make him like an EDM mix.
This is what Rob evidently does with his free time besides quicksand porn.
Yeah, so now we know how Rob is holding up during isolation.
Slowly going mad. Everyone can find me over on Mr. H Reviews YouTube channel. I am desperately trying to get out my episode 10 review, but it keeps being blocked because for that review I literally just recorded all of my reactions, and there were so many of them because the show was so bad. It is like a near 15-minute long video of me just spewing my my train of thought. Or you can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. H Reviews. So there you go.
All right.
Yeah. And also check out his channel, and in his live shows on Mondays, every once in a while, I drop by as well, as I will this Monday, so do check that out. Rob, where can people find you?
You can find me right here. You can find me on After Dark. I turn up on Mecha Random's channel every once in a while. I turn up on Marioki every so often. I have my own channel, Robot Shlomo, which I've been kind of working on a new video for that. First time in a while. I'll probably put that on the After Dark channel as well. But I'm like Visa. I'm like everywhere you want to be, and a few places you don't.
All right.
Nice one. Tom?
Most of the same stuff as Rob. Midnight's Edge, After Dark, Marioki Shenanigans, all that good stuff. Yeah, Sadie needs to go outside. So I want to thank everybody for joining us for so long, especially this panel for sticking it out for 4 hours. I'm so grateful for it. And yeah, I'm going to thank the chat for joining us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks to the panel for being here and spending your Friday. But I think it's nice group therapy for all of us.
Star Trek recovery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Including hopefully for those of you in the chat. And me, you can of course mostly find here at Midnight's Edge, and suddenly I pop in on other live streams elsewhere as well, such as with Mr. H Reviews on Monday. So look forward to seeing me there, and then who knows where I'll suddenly pop up next time. I don't know. But anyway.
He's like whack-a-mole.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone again for joining us. And it's a weird world out there right now. So everyone go and take care of yourselves. And
They're not people, they're hippies.
yeah, there you go.